of potentially producing a little bit of hail earlier as it was pushing on off to the north and east. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that right now showing up on the radar, but I am seeing the very heavy rainfall with this system as it continues pushing on off to the north and to the east once again at about 35 miles per hour. So you can see just very heavy rainfall with this as it continues pushing on off to the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. So that's kind of what we've been watching here over the past hour or so with these storms as they lift on off to the north and to the east. So a very heavy rainfall. The likelihood of flash flooding is high. There's a lot of lightning with this. So as we zoom in, Wilmington itself is just seeing some blinding rainfall with this as it kind of pushes to the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. You can see some of those streets there. North Market that turns into Philadelphia Pike, Edgemore, Hay Road there, looking at blinding rainfall. Some of those cameras showing you the ominous dark skies. We've seen lights flashing on vehicles because it makes it where you can't see. So that's the type of blinding rain that we're seeing across the area. So Wilson Road, Rockland Road, that's where we're talking about some of that very heavy rainfall that's lifting on off to the north and to the east. So this is moving to the north, moving to the east at about 35 miles per hour. We still have another 15 minutes or so to go with this thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. So once again, these storms have had a history of rotation. There's been funnel clouds seen with these storms as they've been moving through portions of Maryland. They've been rotating. They've been producing damaging winds. They've been producing once again a lot of lightning and heavy rainfall. So you can see how that's lifting on off to the north and to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So we're looking at the heavy rain that's been falling across the area, gusty winds associated with this as well. So even if this doesn't end up being a tornado, we're still talking about damaging winds. So we've seen in the past, it doesn't necessarily take a tornado to produce tornado-like damage. All it takes is winds gusting 60, 70, 80 miles per hour, and that could be the potential here with some of these storms that are kind of moving on through, bowing out as we've seen on Ultimate Doppler. So that does indicate the very strong winds with this. There's been a lot of lightning with this. If you can hear thunder, you can certainly be struck by lightning. So when it rains, it pours lately, and that's what we're getting today because it's very moist. We've had dew points that have been generally in the 70s out there. So I mean, that's very, very tropical in nature. So that's why we're seeing some of the impressive rain intensity out there because of all of that moisture that is in the atmosphere. So we're still looking at that shear associated with this as it continues pushing on off to the north and to the east at about 35 miles per hour. Very heavy rain still continues in Chester County, continues in Delaware County, also now Newcastle County, moving across the Delaware Bay into Salem County, looking at very heavy rainfall and gusty winds with this particular system. It's kind of turning into a line that's bowing out, and that is indicative of some of those damaging winds that we will likely see moving forward with this line as it continues pushing on off toward the I-95 corridor, eventually moving that heavy rainfall toward the Philadelphia area as well. So we've been watching the atmosphere spinning aloft, and that's why there's been some rotation with this moving through portions of Newcastle County. Now they've begun to trim the tornado warning a bit. So you can see how that red box the last several frames has kind of been shrinking, so it no longer includes Wilmington proper, but it does still include portions of Claymont, Delaware. It no longer includes Swedesboro, but it still includes some of those areas right along the I-95 corridor. It also includes Chester. It includes Marcus Hook. So we're still following that potential here for a tornado in those particular areas. So once again, interior windowless closet or bathroom is the safest place to be as we monitor this lifting on off to the north and to the east. You can see on Ultimate Doppler showing you that heavy rainfall. So right now, places like Rose Valley, Chester, Marcus Hook, Claymont, Delaware, you are included in that. Wilmington, just looking at heavy rainfall, Wilmington now in the clear from that tornado warning. Also, some of the areas south of Media are in the clear from that tornado warning, but Swarthmore is in that. Woodland, Eddystone, Chester still in that red box, still in that tornado warning until about 7:15. So that's what we're following. That's what we're watching, some of that heavy rainfall and gusty winds with this system that's lifting on off to the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. I mean, take a look at just some of that heavy rainfall associated with this. You can see some of the cameras across the Delaware vicinity showing you just how heavy some of that rain has been. Of course, some of those rainfall rates have been 2 to 3 inches per hour with this system as it continues moving on off to the north and east. So once again, here's Chester, here's Philadelphia, portions of Delco, portions of Gloucester County, a sliver of Salem counties in that, as well as just now north and east of the Wilmington area. So here's Wilmington, 202, of course, 495, 295, right between Philadelphia and Wilmington. We're looking at this tornado warning right now, so you need to be in your safe zone, interior windowless closet or bathroom. That's where you want to be. So we've been watching these storms push on off to the north and to the east. So lots of heavy rainfall, blinding rain. You've seen some of those images of cars pulling over, turning the flashers on so they can just even see what's in front of them. So it's blinding rainfall that we're talking about here, and this is lifting on off to the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. Lots of heavy rainfall, lots of lightning with this as it lifts on off to the north and east. So in this red box, that's where we have some rotation, some spin with height, some wind shear. These storms have been rotating as we've been watching them move out of sections of Maryland during the 5 o'clock broadcast. I was concerned about some of these storms moving across the eastern shore and potentially making it into our viewing area, which that's why we have that active tornado warning in effect until about 7:15. So once again, we're keeping tabs on that, some spin in the atmosphere, but look at how this is kind of bowing out. That is showing us that there's a lot of wind energy with this. So even if this doesn't produce a tornado, we're still talking about some damaging wind gusts, 60, 70 miles per hour, as well as just blinding rainfall with this. So once again, here's Philadelphia, here's South Philly, here's the airport, by the way. And then as you move a little farther down, we're talking about Chester. We're talking about where the Union play, the Commodore Barry Bridge is right here. So this is right in Chester, right in Logan, as we move along 295 here, as well as the southern part of Route 130. So that is what we're watching here. Claymont, Delaware, Highway 13. Other areas under a severe thunderstorm warning, but this particular box here, that's where we're looking at rotation strong enough to support a tornado warning until about 7:15. So that's the area in question. That's what we're watching here. And take a look at this. The rotation, the shear analysis with this particular thunderstorm as it's been moving out of portions of Maryland. We're looking at that blue. So that's showing you all of that wind energy, even some signature of rotation showing up for a time. You can see that showing you that there's been some rotation that moved out of Cecil County, Maryland, out of Talbot County, reports of a funnel cloud with this, and then into Newcastle County, and then it's been pivoting on off to the north and east. So you can see this area here, that is where we still have that tornado warning in effect. So centralmost part of your home, interior windowless closet or bathroom is the best place to be. And then all of these areas that you see in orange, that's pretty much I'd say about 60% of the viewing area now looking at some type of severe thunderstorm warning. So that's indicated there with the orange. That now has been extended into Philadelphia County, into Burlington County, into Camden County, Gloucester County, Salem County, Cumberland County, most of Delaware under a severe thunderstorm warning. And then as we get toward the north and west suburbs, in portions of now Montgomery County, Delaware County, Chester County, Berks County, looking at a severe thunderstorm warning. So all of this area here is under a severe thunderstorm warning. And you can see even the shape of those warnings, it's kind of bowing out. So that's showing us those very strong winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour with this as it continues pushing on off to the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. That blue that you see, that's the wind energy showing the history over the past hour or so as it's been moving from Maryland into northern portions of Newcastle County. So once again, safest place to be.
All right, I'm going to interrupt here. This is Sheba Russell. Scott is changing out his batteries on his mic right now because that's how long he has been talking regarding these tornado warnings in parts of Newcastle County, also Salem, Gloucester, Delaware counties. And we've been watching this storm system move from west to east, and most of our area now experiencing a lot of rainfall out there. We have not only these tornado warnings right now, but also thunderstorm warnings and a tornado watch until tomorrow afternoon. So hopefully folks are home, you're somewhere safe. We are watching, I believe this is Delaware on the left side here. So folks are still out on the road, but it's important to be safe. If you see some flooding conditions, do not go into that. We've heard the stern warning from crews all across our area. Turn around, don't drown if you're experiencing some flash flooding conditions. So this tornado watch, or warning, shall I say, we've been dealing with one that started at 6:15. That was a system that our meteorologist Scott had been tracking from Maryland, and that had been moving up into Newcastle County.
Yes, I do. Hello?
All right, so Scott is getting his mic back on. So that tornado warning that started in Maryland moved up to Newcastle County and to Chester, and now it continues to spread to our area of Newcastle, Salem, Gloucester, and Delaware County. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Scott, to pick it up from here.
All right, thanks. So that just tells you how long we've been going on. My batteries even ran out on me. So that's what we're talking about. We've been tracking this system for several hours. It started in the 5 o'clock hour as we were looking at those cells moving out of Maryland into Newcastle County and portions of Delaware, southern Delco right now. We do have that tornado warning, and that extends across the Delaware into Gloucester County, into Salem County. So in this box, looking at a tremendous amount of heavy rainfall. We're looking at lightning as well as those gusty winds with this, and that entire line. I mean, it's kind of been bowing out from north and west suburbs into interior portions of South Jersey, moving back down into Delaware. So lots of lightning. If you can hear thunder, you can be struck by lightning with this. So until about 7:15, still watching that tornado warning there. And take a look at this. I mean, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. North and west, stretching into interior parts of South Jersey, all the way back toward the eastern shore of Maryland. We're looking at multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, a tornado warning here, and then another one around the eastern area. That's near the Cambridge, Maryland vicinity. So we'll kind of zoom back in, and you can see that very heavy rainfall with this. Rainfall rates 2 to 3 inches per hour. So that's why you've seen some of the video of cameras with dark conditions. people with the flashers on because it's blinding rainfall. So here's Chester, of course, where the Philadelphia Union play, the Commodore Barry Bridge. 295 is right there. You have Route 130, the southern part of Route 130. And then as you move down toward Claymont, Delaware, 95 headed into Wilmington. Wilmington's now been allowed to be in the clear of that, and then this continues moving on off to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So we look at that rotation history, and what you're looking at with this blue is basically showing that wind shear in the atmosphere, change in wind direction with height. So of course, the good news is, I just got an update, they've allowed for that tornado warning to expire. So that is the good news as we go in time. Now we're just looking at severe thunderstorm warnings, that entire swath here stretching from Montgomery County, Berks County, through Chester County, north and west suburbs, interior portions of South Jersey. Now we're looking at a severe thunderstorm warning pretty much for that entire area. So let's switch back over to our Barron computer just real quickly here, and I'll show you that entire line of showers and thunderstorms as it's lifting on off to the north and to the east. It's kind of bowing out a little bit. So that is indicative of the potential for some strong wind. So once again, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire there. As we go over the past several frames there, you can see we're no longer looking at the tornado warning, but it has been replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning. So that entire line is producing winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour, as well as a lot of lightning. Rainfall rates 2 to 3 inches per hour with that. So once again, we'll continue to have continuing coverage on Fox Local, but I'm going to send things now back to regularly scheduled programming should we get another tornado warning, which now all of the tornado warnings for our area have been allowed to expire. I'll break in, but for now, I want you to join me on our Fox Local.
All right, you guys, welcome back into Philadelphia Live. You guys were listening into our live report on weather. As you've probably heard, our Scott Williams, our meteorologist, has been going for so long, trying to keep you guys up to date, also keep you guys safe. We had a tornado warning issued across Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. However, that has just cleared up literally moments ago. So luckily now we're just looking towards severe weather, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on there. As you can see in our quad box here, we've got our ultimate Doppler radar, so you can see how that storm is moving and just how quickly it is. You also see we've got Wilmington's I-896 up for you all. A lot of traffic out there, and we're also keeping you guys up to date on everything that's going on with the airport. Let's take PHL full and live. I'm hearing now that there is a ground stop issued at the airport, and that travel has been pretty backed up and messed up for a couple of major airports. So Philadelphia in that aspect isn't anything special. Now, we're keeping our eye on the situation here. Again, this ground stop has been issued. It's not supposed to clear up until about 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is for departures to Philadelphia International. They're grounded due to the thunderstorms in our area. You can sort of tell just how dark and dreary and blue it looks out there, that the sun clearly is not shining. I've just let you know that we were keeping our eyes on a potential tornado warning and now maybe even tornado watches. We're also looking at some flooding potentially in some of our areas. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but I just want to keep you all updated in case you're expecting guests or you yourself are trying to get back home. You can expect for now, your flight probably will not be going anywhere towards Philadelphia. We've also got a ground delay that is in effect till about 3 a.m. So even if you were able to fly, keep in mind, expect delays. Again, we'll be keeping our eyes on the situation at the airport and try to keep you guys up to date on everything that's going on. Now, another thing that I want to talk to you all about, we've had so much storm prep in our area. Chris O'Connell got out and about to see how things were going. Some of our photographers were also able to get you guys a glimpse at how things were going. I'm hearing that they actually had storm drain systems that they were, digging into and trying to clear up just to make sure that if it did rain heavily in our area, if it did begin to flood, that things wouldn't get bad. So they were clearing out any debris. We're talking about leaves or anything else that may have been stuck in those storm drains. And we actually got to get you guys video so you can see what that kind of storm prep looks like. So Philadelphia Water was out there on the grounds for that. Again, shout out to our reporter Chris O'Connell, but also shout out to our photographers who have been working hard to keep us up to date on everything that's going on. And like I said, it's not just our area that seems to be dealing with this tricky weather. I mean, we've had heat after heat wave after heat wave, and then we had crazy rain. And it's been affecting a lot of different aspects and facets of life, whether it's business, you trying to get out and about and do something fun, or just trying to get home from work. Some people's commutes have been an issue. But again, we're hearing that it's not just our area in particular. I want to turn things over to one of our reporters, Chelsea Torres. She's live for us in Queens, New York, and I just told you guys how things are tricky right at PHL, but I'm hearing it's also not so great at LaGuardia, one of the biggest airports. Chelsea, what are you seeing where you are?
Yeah, hey there, Judea. Well, I mean, as of right now, more than nearly 50% of the flights just trying to leave out of LaGuardia are completely canceled. And there's people all around here that are either realizing that their flight is now canceled or just trying to figure out exactly what to do next and what can they do. Meanwhile, earlier today, one woman told me that she felt trapped here, that she was even considering paying $2,000 just to get a rental car to get out of the area. Another group of women and other travelers that I've talked to say they've been dealing with these delays and cancellations ever since last night because of this weather.
I booked a flight on another airline today, so it's a little different route. I have a 5 o'clock flight today, so fingers are crossed I'm going to get out. My backup plan is if I don't get out and that flight is canceled, I'm looking at Amtrak tomorrow morning.
Now, Carter told me she looked at car rentals just last night and couldn't even find one. She says the Amtrak option would cost her hundreds of additional dollars. And flight delays and cancellations are stacking up as thunderstorms move here into the area. Now it's just having a snowball effect, impacting other major hubs like Chicago, Atlanta, and even Charlotte. Delta and American are waiving flight change fees at certain airports, but some of the other travelers I spoke with say they're just considering all of their options, but really trying to keep it in perspective.
I'm not sure what we're gonna do. I'm trying to just figure it out. I'm trying to be cool. I know she's super frustrated, but just be calm. We'll figure things out.
Now, that couple I had talked to well over an hour ago, and not too long ago, they came up to me and told me that their flight they're trying to change to tomorrow now is not even an option, and they have to wait a couple more days, and they're still on the phone with their airline to trying to make those adjustments. But you can imagine that they're not the only ones that are feeling the frustrations. A lot of people are sitting in and around this airport right now just trying to make any kind of changes that they can so they can actually get to where they want to be. Judea?
Absolutely. Chelsea, thank you for giving us a look at what's going on around the U.S., specifically on the East Coast. It seems to be a lot of our states are experiencing this tricky weather. We appreciate you joining us here on Philadelphia Live. So you guys, she just gave you that live report from Queens, New York, from LaGuardia Airport. So like I said, it seems that a lot of our airports are experiencing the same exact struggles, and we're all just trying to stay afloat. Keep you guys up to date on everything that's going on. We'll let you know if our ground stops or ground delays here in Philadelphia switch up. But if they don't, we'll also keep you up to date on that. You guys, we are going to take a quick step back. We'll come back to you with some more news of the day. Let's get into our headlines in just a second. All right, welcome back into Philadelphia Live. I've got some breaking news for you. So as you are taking a look at some of our busiest airports around the U.S., we're talking Chicago, L.A., Philly, and Atlanta's airport. We're hearing that American Airlines, all flights throughout the country have been experiencing a nationwide ground stop. This has been put in place by the Federal Aviation Administration. They say it's due to a system-wide IT and technical outage. So while some of our airports, especially those of us on the East Coast, are experiencing difficulty, delays, and even ground stops due to the weather, it seems every airport is experiencing difficulty when it comes to American Airlines because of a IT and technical outage. Again, we're going to keep our eyes on what's happening here. I know this affects a lot of you guys who have plans to travel tonight, or maybe you were expecting family to come on in. All of that is put to a halt, and we'll keep our eyes on what's happening out here and get you guys up to date on everything that you need to know. Let's get out to Wisconsin, because while things are tough for us here in Philly and Delaware and Jersey, I'm hearing that Wisconsin has been experiencing a major tornado. We're talking about an EF3 that has hit both the Appleton and Menasha areas. And so as you can see, this is some of the damage that our team across the way has been able to get on out to us. These trees were clearly snapped like pencils. Like, that is how hard this storm hit the area. Storm was tracked at about 12.1 miles through this particular area, Appleton and downtown Menasha, before it reached Lake Winnebago, excuse me. And they say the wind up to 140 miles per hour. So survey crews are on the ground. They were able to determine that a tornado did touch down, did strike those particular areas, and they're trying to figure out how they'll be able to get relief to the people who live in this area as quickly as possible. We actually got to listen in to a press conference. I want to let you listen in to one of the officers who explained how this situation is being handled.
Most frequent questions we get is access and how do people get back to their homes to assess the damage and begin the recovery. We understand that instinct, but we want to ensure that this process is done safely and in as orderly fashion as possible. However, for the next several days, there will continue to be a curfew from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. This curfew will be established for the city of Menasha, along with the east side of the village of Fox Crossing. So if you reside in the village of Fox Crossing, east of the Fox River, that curfew will be in effect for your residents as well. This curfew is in place so that the emergency responders and the public works crews can complete their work safely, effectively, and without hindrance from people who would be in the area. There's a lot of dangers out there yet, down trees intertwined with power lines, and the conditions are just not safe for citizens to be in the streets after dark. Unless you are entering the area because of a true life and death emergency, please try and stay out of these restricted zones. The Wisconsin State Patrol is here helping us with traffic control and direction. Please abide by their requests. We are doing our best to open streets in the fastest manner possible, but we do still need to keep them closed, or some closed, for the safety of everyone. We appreciate your patience and cooperation by respecting the curfew and the direction of all the traffic officers we have on scene, and giving the first responders the space they need. You will be helping us restore the area more quickly and efficiently. We just request that everyone has patience and cooperate with us as we navigate this difficult process.
All right, so there you have it. That's how they're handling things in Wisconsin. We'll keep you up to date on how we're handling things right here in Philadelphia, in the Delaware and the Jersey areas. Now, I told you guys American Airlines did say they were grounding all stops across the country due to the system-wide IT outage. Well, they've just put on their X account, and I want to show you guys the tweet. They're saying now they're expecting any minute now they'll be able to lift that ground stop. So as you can see here, it says a technology issue briefly impacted connectivity for some of our systems on Tuesday evening. Systems are coming back online now, and flights are departing again. We put a temporary ground stop in place while our teams work to resolve the issue. We apologize to our customers for the inconvenience. Let us know if you guys are one of those customers that had been impacted. We're live now on social media. You guys can write us right in our live stream chats. I'll be able to read them, and maybe we can even get out and talk to you. Now, I want to get you up to date on some of our biggest news happening around town. I love social media. I just told you guys about our live stream chats. It can be a good thing, but every now and again we get one of those trends that come on in, the kids start doing it, and it can lead to a lot of problems, maybe even jail time. I'm hearing there's one trend in particular that's really damaging. I want to get right out to Jeff Skversky, one of our reporters who's been keeping us up to date on it. Jeff, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so Royersford police are asking for your help identifying suspects, teenagers accused of vandalizing homes in the area. They're accused of kicking in doors as part of a viral trend. And I'm not sure if you've seen this, but the social media trend around the country, the door kick challenge, really a twisted version of Ding Dong Ditch, where they are kicking in someone's door as they ring their doorbell and running away. And the latest trend has hit Royersford, Montgomery County. They have shown videos across the community page, and now the police department is putting out photos of 4 individuals, 4 teenagers accused of doing a substantial amount of damage. And the police are even saying they don't have as much of an issue with the Ding Dong Ditch portion of it, but they're having an issue obviously with the vandalism and the crime that's being committed. So we've been out in Royersford tonight talking to neighbors and residents. Some didn't know about it. Some are aware. Some say it happened across the street from them. And it's been teenagers that have been doing this for weeks now. And obviously they are concerned. Not only is it costly, but the concern level also is the danger of it. Because could you knock on the wrong door and potentially have a bigger issue? And that has really been the concern, for residents that have not been affected, that have just seen this happen in their neighborhood.
That is so scary to think about, and obviously the kids don't necessarily think about that. They see some of their favorite people on social media doing this. It looks fun, it looks funny, and they think they can replicate it. So hoping that they do find the people that they're looking for. Jeff, can you just tell our audience if they want more information or want to hear your report later on in the broadcast, round about what time can they expect you? 10, 11?
Yeah, so we'll be on tonight at 10 and 11. We talked to, again, a bunch of local residents that say that they are obviously concerned and the lack of respect going on in the community from these individuals. So we talked to some different parents and fathers and mothers in the area that are worried and that are not happy that these teenagers are doing this. And so we'll have much more tonight coming up at 10 o'clock. And if you have any information that can assist police, you're asked to contact Royersford Police.
Thank you for giving us the word on what's going on, keeping us all up to date. Again, I hope that they do find who they're looking for so they can hold them accountable. We'll let you go so you can get ready for your show later on. You guys out there streaming with us, still big things happening all across the country. Out in DC today, we saw world leaders come in for the funeral for Senator Graham. And one of those leaders happened to be Vladimir Zelensky. Now, senators have been speaking after there was a closed door meeting with Vladimir Zelensky. Let's take a listen to what they're saying right now.
We celebrate, and I commend the leadership of those standing behind me for a very important step. And again, I say, this may turn out to be Lindsey Graham's greatest legislative achievement in a stellar 32-year career.
Well, as all my colleagues have said, this is a critical step forward in helping Ukraine to end this unprovoked war. And it is a tribute to Lindsey Graham, to Dick Blumenthal for the 1.5 years of work that they negotiated and to bring it across the finish line now with a very targeted piece of legislation that is designed to cut off the money that is fueling this war from Russia. And that's the goal of this bill. So it's not just sanctions, it's the tariffs to ensure that they can no longer benefit from selling their oil and gas through the shadow fleet to the rest of the world, and the number one purchaser is China. And as we look at what's happening in the Middle East, addressing Russia and China's support for this war helps us as we're looking at what's happening in the Middle East. So it's all connected, and this is a major step forward. Now we need to make sure that we can work with the House to take it up. We had a number of bipartisan members of the House who were here listening to the President tonight, and we're hopeful that that's a good sign as we look at how to get this bill across the finish line.
Okay.
What a day. The heaviness of the day is not lost on any of us. 2 weeks ago, we stood here in a bipartisan fashion. You had people from all cross sections of their conference standing shoulder to shoulder to say, we want this bill to move forward. We want Putin's war machine to end. We want accountability for the Kremlin, and we want to drive Putin to the table and ultimately have peace. Well, in typical Lindsay fashion, he found a way for us to vote on this bill right after we came back from celebrating his life. I know that he told me, and he told a number of people standing up here, that despite all of the incredible things that he did throughout his tenure, and I hope that y'all will look at that, this man had his hand in everything. There was nothing that went on in this building or really around the world that he didn't have an idea that he wanted to advance for the betterment of the people that he served. But he said, with all the things that he had done, that this legislation, getting it across the finish line and to the president's desk, would be the most consequential piece of legislation that he had ever led. I want to thank these people up here because they stood shoulder to shoulder with Senator Graham, Senator Blumenthal, lockstep for a year and a half, trying to figure out what is the pathway forward. Your relationship with Senator Graham is what the Senate is supposed to be. This group took all of their different talents and skill sets and knowledge, whether it was Shadow Fleet, to armed services, to foreign relations. Guys, they did the work. They did the work because they want to see the killing end. They want to see a peaceful resolution, and they want America to continue to show strength around the globe. And that's what we just did tonight. We heard from President Zelensky in this room as the United States Senate and some members of Congress, and then we walked out there and did something. We showed the world that we stand for strength, we stand for peace, and we stand with Ukraine. And so I am hopeful that when we get this across the finish line, which is going to happen in a big way, that the House will come back immediately and pass this legislation. We want to see these tools be used to bring a resolution that is a long time coming. And I have to just reflect on one thing. Lindsay, when we left Normandy after the 80th anniversary of D-Day, he was reflecting on what that meant and the sacrifice of so many of our men and women. And he said to me, this reminded me how important the decisions we make as political leaders are. Because when we fail to do our jobs, young men and women are sent off to war. Tonight, we did not fail to do our job. We stood tall, and I am proud that the United States of America is leading. Thank you.
We'll take a couple questions, but let me put a finer point on this. In this room, as you heard, we had President Zelensky a little bit ago, and also the President of Finland was in this room with us also. And the question was put to them about the impact of this legislation, which really has nothing to do with the kinetic fight, but has everything to do with Putin being able to fund that fight. Both were of the opinion that this was at least as effective, maybe more effective, at bringing this war to an end that everybody wants to see. And this piece of legislation may have more effect than anything that's done on the battlefield. So
to quote Zelensky directly, we need this bill.
Clear. Yes. So with that, jump ball.
Do you think it will, how long will it take?
I give you your shot.
Are you sending it to Vladimir Putin tonight?
What would we say to him, or what does this bill say?
This bill sends a message.
This bill says to Vladimir Putin, your days of war are numbered. You are on the losing side. Better to come to the table now than sacrifice more lives, waste more money, crater your economy, destroy your standing in the world. America stands with Ukraine.
How are you planning to overcome Democratic opposition in the House?
Well, I think that's why it was important to have both Democrat and Republican members of the House here tonight. I think we have time to continue to engage them, to let them know there's a lot of misunderstanding about what's in this narrowly constructed bill, because people are still looking at the bill that was first introduced. So I think we need to provide that background information. We need to talk to folks about what their concerns are, and we've got some time to do that because the House is not coming back for a while.
And we had Democrat members from the House in the meeting, that we had, and that is not the usual thing for us to do.
And very simply, the House produced a bill that maybe we like. This bill is the one that will pass. This bill is the one that the president will sign. We want a law, not just a bill. And I think what you can see from the overwhelming vote is that we'll have a lot of momentum going into the House. So the folks who are serious in the House about helping Ukraine, helping them right now, should vote for this bill.
When this bill is passed, can the president not use tools in this bill to punish Russia? Does the bill give the president enough flexibility to just ignore this bill, so to say?
The bill doesn't require tariffs. It authorizes tariffs up to 100%. The 5 largest purchasers of Russian oil and gas. It's carefully crafted to make sure we are not hitting our allies and that we are hitting China and India. Let's be really blunt. China and India are the main culprits here. They purchase the vast majority of oil and gas. They are fueling Russia's war machine, and they are doing us no favors anywhere else in the world. And you can see the effect of tariffs by the recent history here. The president imposed tariffs of, I think it was about 25% on India, and they cut their purchases of Russian oil by 50%. Tariffs and sanctions have consequences, and the president is going to be under a lot of pressure to use them, and he is signing this bill with the expectation publicly that he will use them.
Thank you all. Final question.
What estimated time are we talking about? It probably will be autumn, if I'm not mistaken.
For the bill to have final passage.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what we'll do is we'll go through the process here. We'll work with our colleagues on both sides of the aisle to work to get a time agreement to try to get this through as quickly as possible. Then it will be in the House's court, so to speak. And so we're hopeful that they can see this momentum that we've built here in a bipartisan way. Just as Senator Blumenthal said, I mean, this is narrowly targeted. This gives flexibility but economic firepower to drive Putin to the table and end this war. At the end of the day, there have been 2 million people that have lost their life as a result of this absolutely indefensible aggression from Putin, and it's time to bring that to an end. So we need to stand shoulder to shoulder and show them that America is with them. Tonight, we heard from President Zelensky, we heard from President Stubbs. This is what they need, both from economic perspective, but also morale, and showing that we're ready to see this resolved. So we hope that our colleagues in the House will take this up quickly and then get it to the President's desk so that we can end this war.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What was the main message?
All right, so as they finished up, they kept referencing this bill, this act that they're trying to move forward with in the name of Senator Lindsey Graham, and they kept mentioning Vladimir Zelensky. So what does he have to do with it? What exactly are they talking about here? Let's dive into it for just a second. So again, as you all know, Senator Lindsey Graham, he lost his life at age 71. Today in DC, they held multiple services and ceremonies for him to honor his life. Now, they say one of his last-ditch efforts as a senator was trying to move forward with this Russia sanctions bill. And across the lines, as you could see, most of the people that were speaking there, if not all of them, were Democrats. This is one of those things where it seems to be people from both sides seem to be on board. So again, a lot of different world leaders ended up coming to his funeral. Vladimir Zelensky from Ukraine was one of them. We also saw Benjamin Netanyahu from Israel as being another one of them. But this particular sanctions bill against Russia would be in response to the war in Ukraine. And as you could hear from the Democrats, they're hoping that if they move forward with it, it goes to show that America stands with Ukraine. So that's just the latest that we're hearing about that. We'll see whether or not they move forward with it, but it does seem like the Senate is going for it. Now, we also have a live look at the Senate floor where just a few moments ago, the senators have actually voted to move forward with Jay Clayton. So if you're unfamiliar with the name, was going for the job of the nation's intelligence director. That used to be a job held by Tulsi Gabbard until early May, she decided that she needed to step away to care for her ailing husband. He's dealing with cancer. Now, while she wants to care for him, she says that she was going to hold the job until early June. When that came around, her seat was up for grabs. And Jay Clayton had his eye on it. President Donald Trump's administration liked his name for it, and they wanted to put him in the ring for it. So today on the Senate floor, they voted whether or not to confirm him, and that was a yes. It was split 51-47 along party lines. Republicans had initially hoped that they would be able to confirm him back in June, but President Trump delayed his hearing in order to allow for his temporary pick for the job, Bill Pulte, to take over for a couple of weeks after Tulsi Gabbard ended up resigning. But now it is official, so we'll move forward from here. But that's the latest of what's happening on the Senate floor. You guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, get you guys caught up on some more stories of the day. Keep in mind, our weather is one of our biggest top stories. We've been keeping an eye on potential tornado warnings and watches and what that means for the area that you live in. We'll continue checking in with our team and see how things are progressing when we come back. Welcome back to Philadelphia Live. You're taking a live look at Philadelphia International Airport. You're also taking a look at our live radar. We're keeping you guys up to date on anything you need to know about weather, especially if it pertains to the area that you live in. As you can see, it's pretty nasty weather out at the airport. There is still a ground stop in effect. That has been extended to about 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was supposed to expire at 7:45, but as you can see, it's been extended for another hour. We're also seeing that there may be some flash flooding, and we've also issued a warning. I hope you guys have your free Fox Local app downloaded on your phone. Turn on your breaking news notifications because you would have gotten that alert in real time. Again, we're trying to keep you guys up to date, and we're trying to make sure that you all are safe. And that's where I bring in Jake Leonard from our digital team. You have been keeping your eye on weather. That has been one of the trending stories, not just here, but across the country.
Yes, you know, it's like every day when I come in, I'm seeing what's trending on our website and then what's trending locally, nationally. Right now, it's weather. So on our website, we have a live blog that's constantly being updated, you know, with the latest updates. When the meteorologists do a hit, we're clipping it and uploading it. Anytime we're seeing something from the National Weather Service, we're embedding it. So if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely recommend that. You know, like you just said, Judea, we're sending out the push alerts on the Fox Local app. So definitely download that if you haven't already. So that's honestly been the big trending story of the night. But I have to say the American Airlines one also, I was watching it blow up in real time on X. Like it immediately, just a bunch of tweets came. So both things, you're doing a great job covering it, bringing the people the information they need to know, you know. So obviously just stay safe out there. You know, it's crazy right now. You know, there's flash flood warnings, severe thunderstorms. So just honestly stay inside unless you really have to be outside. You know, don't drive if you don't have to. And yeah, we'll continue to give you all the updates.
Appreciate that. And thank you for the compliment as well. But I have to say, it is not me. I'm working with a whole team. You are one of the people keeping me up to date on what's going on. But then we've also got our whole digital team. Do you mind giving them a shout out? Because they've been working really hard to keep these articles up to date.
Yes, the digital team specifically are Cam Skirvins. You know her, you love her. Cam's Corner. The chat with Cam, but also she's such a great part of our digital team. She's sending us updates. She's sending you guys updates. So huge shout out to her.
Yeah, making sure that I know exactly what's going on as well is very, very helpful. So yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we'll check back in with Jake if there are other trending stories that you guys need to know about. And let me know too. I can't keep my eyes everywhere. So if you are watching from another area and you want us to dig deeper into something, we've already got Stacey Stoltz telling us to talk about sports. Oh baby, don't you worry. That is coming in the 8 o'clock hour. I have a lot to say. So does our sports team. Let's see, what else? Let us know where exactly you guys are watching from. I'm seeing, in addition to the flood warning I was telling you guys about, we've also got a severe thunderstorm warning specifically for the Philadelphia area. We'll keep you guys updated on what's happening there as well. Now that is supposed to expire within the next 7 or so minutes, but it's possible that it could be extended. We'll also keep our eyes on our meteorologist, Scott Williams, for any guidance there. He'll have another weather report for you guys at around 8:10 unless something is breaking and pressing. If that's the case, then maybe we'll talk to him earlier. But for now, 8:10 is when you can expect to hear another one of your fully crafted weather reports. I also want to check in with our reporters as well. So in a couple of minutes, we'll also see how Shawnette Wilson has been getting on by. She's been out and about trying to figure out what the biggest concerns are in terms of weather for the Philadelphia area, for New Jersey, for Delaware. So we'll see where she finds herself at with her photographer and see how things are going for those residents out there as well. Now, in addition to the ground stop, I also want to remind you all that there is a ground delay. Now, that is supposed to be in place until 3 a.m. The average delay at Philadelphia International Airport is about 153 minutes due to the thunderstorms. So again, as you can see, yes, there is that United aircraft out there, but no one is going anywhere for this period of time, whether it's because of that delay or right now because of the ground stop. Again, we're keeping our eyes on this situation and we'll get you guys up to date as soon as possible. All right, it's about that time, looking at the time, about 7:54. You know, our reporters from earlier today were also keeping us updated on different things that were going on. There was this chocolate shop. Our Shayna Ferreira got on out to it. I'm hearing that because of some severe weather that had happened not too long ago, this chocolate shop had experienced lightning damage that turned into a fire, and now it's like almost game over for them. But they say they're not giving up just yet, and that's the kind of power that I believe we here in Philadelphia have. A lot of people around the nation do too, but I think it's a little different, a little stronger right here. So again, Shayna got to talk to that particular business owner, and I want to let you listen in on how things are going.
Nonpareil sanding sugar.
A walkthrough of L&S Chocolates with the owner just 1 week after powerful storms ripped through the area.
The way I look at it, I've lost everything, and I'm not sure how to rebuild.
Julie Erickson sharing her heartbreaking loss as her beloved business known for creative and sweet treats is now shut down after a lightning strike hit the neighboring business during the storms and started a fire that quickly traveled.
I heard a loud crack, my power flickered.
This video shared with us showing the flames coming off the top of the commercial storefront.
I walk outside and the patrons and the owner Emirates is saying, "Get out of the building, it's on fire."
Water quickly making its way into the business, busting through the ceiling and into the back storage room.
My ceiling collapsed from massive leaks from not so much the lightning strike, but from the heavy downpours of rain.
She walked us through to the back room to show us the epicenter of the damage.
Everything in this room is gone. Everything on these shelves, anything here. My freezer is gone because of the water that was running into the power strip.
All of this just 3 years into owning the business and 3 months after a fresh renovation she says she did by hand.
I did the carpet, ripped that up myself, did the flooring myself, painting, all new fixtures. I didn't hire a single contractor. And now all my blood, sweat, and literal tears, I just lost everything.
She tells us her store is a shared dream of her late mother, who encouraged her to start the business before her passing.
I ended up here on a random phone call from my hairdresser, and she said, "There's a candy store for sale." I wrote the check within 24 hours using what I inherited from my mother's passing. So my mother did back my dream.
A dream just on pause while she works to clean up and hopefully rebuild to continue her passion of sweet treats for special occasions.
I hope to rebuild. If I don't rebuild here, I hope to reopen somewhere else.
The owner tells me she sustained over $300,000 worth of inventory loss, and she is looking to rebuild. There's a GoFundMe to support. We have a link to it on our page, fox29.com. Shayna Ferreira, Fox 29 News.
All right, Shayna, thank you so much for that report. And I listen to her and I hear and feel the strength that she has, talking about the blood, sweat, and tears that she put into her business. And I don't think that this is the end of her journey. We love our small businesses, and I'm excited to see how she pulls through even bigger and better after this. I feel it in my blood that that's what's coming for her. Now, we're going to keep you guys updated on everything you need to know in terms of weather. Our Shawnette Wilson is out and about chasing storms, trying to get you guys some answers. As you can see there, we've got a live picture coming from her vehicle. We'll check in on where she's at on the interstate when we come back. right, welcome back into Philadelphia Live. We're keeping our eyes on the Philadelphia airport. That's because there is a ground stop and a ground delay, both in existence right now. We're waiting to see when those expire. It looks like that ground stop is going to wait until 8:45 p.m., but we'll keep you up to date if that actually happens or whether it's extended. That ground delay, we're looking at around 3 a.m. But I want to check in with our meteorologist, Scott Williams. Scott, we have been putting you to the test and you have been exceeding and with flying colors, but let us know what we can expect with our weather moving forward.
Yeah, it really has been busy in the Fox 29 Weather Authority office here. I've been looking at things coming in left and right, literally from the National Weather Service, from the Storm Prediction Center on what's happening in our atmosphere. Now, the good news is most of the storms right now are weakening. That includes around Philadelphia, points north and west, but we still have a few severe thunderstorm warnings in South Jersey as well as into portions of Delaware that we are still following. So that's what's happening right now. Outside of our studios, we're looking at some rain that's coming down at a pretty good clip, not as intense as some of the activity that was pushing through Delaware as it was moving up the I-95 corridor, but you can see the damp conditions. You can see some umbrellas are up across the area. Some folks have umbrellas, others don't, which is usually always the case no matter how intense the rainfall is. We're rain cooled as well, only 70 degrees right now. So of course the rain is coming down. The roads are wet. We're looking at the threat still for maybe an isolated tornado. Right now, that tornado watch is still in effect for the I-95 corridor, immediate suburbs, South Jersey, sections of Delaware. Some of those counties could be allowed to expire. No longer a threat, though, for severe weather west of the area. So D.C., Baltimore, moving into Lancaster County, Berks County, Allentown, the Poconos. Those areas have been removed from any type of severe thunderstorm watch or tornado watch, so that is good news as well. Let's take a look at what's happening within this box. Still a lot of lightning with this system. That is one of the players with this system this afternoon and evening. Heavy rainfall, gusty winds, lightning, and once again, can't rule out an isolated brief tornado. Right now, the only severe thunderstorms within that box are actually now in Delaware, portions of Salisbury, Maryland, and then as you get into portions of Virginia. So we'll take a tour across the area, and then you can see there is still one severe thunderstorm warning for about 10 minutes left in portions of upper Bucks County. That's where we have some heavy rainfall still ongoing, as well as some gusty winds with that, but no longer a severe thunderstorm warning for the Philadelphia area. We're looking at some of that heavy rainfall pushing into Center City, into Camden right now, as well as moving into Camden County and Gloucester County, but no longer severe. Severe thunderstorm warning for upper Bucks County. That's until about 8:15, producing some heavy rain and gusty winds. So as we kind of zoom in on that severe thunderstorm warning, that includes places like Haycock, Richland. Also, as you move into the Bucksville area, once again, this is in upper Bucks County until about 8:15. Rocky Ridge, East Rock Hill included in that through portions of upper Bucks County. So as we continue our tour down the shore, parts of Cape May County, looking at a few scattered showers and downpours around the Strathmere area. That's going to be lifting on up toward Ocean City over the next half hour. That's not severe. Cumberland County is looking at some heavy rainfall, gusty winds, not severe either. Bridgeton over to Millville, the Vineland area, looking at some pockets of heavy rainfall. Then as we move into Sussex County in Delaware, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning there until about 8:30. That includes the Seaford area, Georgetown, Delaware, some heavy rain and gusty winds. And then as we expand the view, you can see some of those storm reports. Those circles that you see are really a lot of damage around Harrisburg to Hagerstown, toward the Baltimore, D.C. area with trees down, wires down. There have been a few reports in and around the Lehigh Valley in terms of damage, but not a lot of damage reports around Philadelphia, South Jersey, or even Delaware for that matter. So as we zoom in to some of these storm reports that we've been watching, there was a report of a funnel cloud that was around the Wilmington area. So as I zoom in, you can see this is from earlier this evening. We had the tornado warning, of course, in and around Wilmington. So there was a funnel cloud reported around Route 9 and Route 13 in Wilmington earlier this evening. There was also a funnel cloud report in Talbot County in portions of Maryland. So that's why we had that tornado warning if you were joining us earlier this evening. Also, as I move north of West Bradford, you can see around West Brandywine, there were reports of flooding on Reeseville Road and multiple homes flooded. So once again, that portion of the storm in Chester County around West Brandywine produced that severe weather report. And then as we get up to the Lehigh Valley, some of these reports were from earlier this afternoon, not necessarily what happened this evening, but earlier this afternoon we had some heavy rainfall. So Pennsylvania 309 is currently impassable due to flooding. That was a flood report from that particular area, Upper Saucon. And then as we move around places like Allentown, let's see here, South Whitehall, spotter network of nickel-sized hail. That was a report in the South Whitehall area. And then some of the other areas saw some wind gusts in and around the area in the Lehigh Valley. And then take a look at this. You can see Pennsylvania 863 was closed due to a utility pole being down on Log House and Dana Roads. That's Pennsylvania 863. So just, that's some of the damage reports coming in the Lehigh Valley. And then as we move toward Northampton County, there have been some reports of some trees down. Let me take a look at some of these reports near Upper Mount Bethel about what happened there. You can see a tree down in the Bangor area, so that's certainly something that they've been watching there with some of the damage reports. And then as we query some of the activity in the Poconos, Wind Gap, looking at some damage reports as well. Spotter Network report with pictures of trees down or uprooted with broken power lines along Mountain Road. So that's what we're watching in that vicinity from earlier today with some of those storm reports. So been quite busy. As we look at some of the shear, this shows rotation in the atmosphere. And right now there are still some reports of some weak shear moving through Bucks County, moving through Chester County, moving across the Delaware Bay. But once again, this is weak shear in the atmosphere as we continue to kind of monitor this cluster of showers and thunderstorms moving through. So once again, where we have active warnings, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Upper Bucks County, and we also have a severe thunderstorm warning for Sussex County and Delaware. There we go. We have a tornado warning. You just saw that appear. So once again, with that rotation in Sussex County now, that is a tornado warning for Sussex County that just popped up here. You saw it live on Fox Local, and that will go until about 8:45. So once again, this is in southern Delaware. So as we look at that rotation, you can see that rotation showing up around Dewey Beach, Bottom Hills, moving through portions of Sussex County. That was that's a new tornado warning that just popped up here for sections of Sussex County. So once again, what I'm going to do is go to our Barron computer and just kind of show you what's happening here on that particular cell as it's pushing on off to the south and to the east. So once again, some of those areas included in that tornado warning would be Rehoboth Beach. So you can see here what we're following. I don't know if we can switch over to our Barron source and show you the radar from that perspective, because that kind of shows us some of that heavy rainfall that is pushing toward the area. So once again, the National Weather Service has issued that particular warning. So a tornado warning once again for sections of Sussex County. So once again, we do have that tornado warning for east central Sussex County in Delaware. That goes until 8:45. And some of the locations of this tornado warning for Sussex County would be Milton, Millsboro. It's moving to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So once again, Rehoboth Beach is included in that tornado warning. So that's what we're kind of following here as it pushes on off to the east at about, let's see here, it's moving on off at about 35 miles per hour. So Sussex County, a lot of people vacation, Dewey Beach, Rehoboth Beach. So that's kind of what we're following here with this as it continues moving on off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So I'll put some of the areas in question of this tornado warning, and you can see here on the screen what we're following here. So if you live in places like, let's see, the Spring, let's see here, let me put this tracker on it for you, and you can see Springfield Farms, Brook Branch, Harlemtown, Fish Hook Mobile Home Court, the Stockley area, Dogwood Mobile Park Home, Morris Mills area. You're under that particular tornado warning. So once again, that's what we're following here. So what we're going to do is we're going to join our other friends on the television side of things. So just stay with me on Fox Local. We'll pause for a moment and go to Fox 29.
All right, you guys, while we take that pause from Scott Williams, he's just getting ready to bring this news to our broadcast as well. It's called a cut-in. This is behind the news, so just so you guys are aware, that means that he's getting ready for broadcast television, but he'll keep you guys up to date on everything you need to know with this tornado warning. You just heard him say that it's been issued in the Sussex County, New Jersey area. He also said Rehoboth Beach may be connected into that. So again, we're keeping our eyes there. Scott is getting wrapped up to talk to you all on the TV and streaming side of things, but we'll get right back into that forecast with him. You guys, let's check in. Okay, hold on. Not ready just yet, but to remind you all what we're looking at, it has been severe weather. We're talking about tornado warning, tornado watch, flood warnings, etc., all throughout the evening. Our meteorologist, Scott Williams, has been keeping us up to date solo. He's working back there by himself, but he's working really hard to make sure that you all know what's going on, you're up to date, and you all are being safe. I would suggest right now, if you haven't had the opportunity to download the free Fox Local app, although that may be where some of you are joining me right now, but for those of you who are not, who are with us on social media or watching us on your television or maybe on your laptop or desktop, the free Fox Local app is available for you for breaking news, for your news alerts, and for weather alerts just like this. But also suggest that you try the Fox 29 weather app as well. That'll keep you up to date on what's going on. It'll send notifications to your phone when bad weather is in your area, again, so everybody can be safe and everybody can be aware. So we've been keeping up with what's going on at the airport, what's going on in terms of flooding across our areas, and we've also been keeping up with what we just heard there, a potential tornado warning issued for Sussex County in New Jersey. So let me know where you guys are watching from. That way we know which areas to keep our eyes on. But again, we're going to try to keep you all up to date on what's going on. Take a look at your ultimate Doppler radar, which shows you some of our areas and biggest concerning areas. So as you can see right now, some places like Salisbury Switch, we're looking at Gravel Hill, trying to see some more for you all, Pine Lake Development. All these are areas that you should keep in mind. But again, Scott Williams is now ready for our broadcast. Let's take a listen in. Okay, hold on. Still need a little bit more time to get ready. Again, I remind you all that he is working back there by himself, doing a really big and great job at keeping us all up to date on what's going on. But the latest news that he just dropped for us was this tornado warning issued in Sussex County. He had showed us right a few minutes ago that Rehoboth Beach was included in this area that we're keeping our eyes on. So again, we're all trying to keep you guys up to date on what is happening. And I just want to remind you all, if you had a flight, if you were expecting friends and family members to come on into the Philadelphia area, Philadelphia International Airport is currently under a ground stop. We're also talking about a ground delay. So again, we're going to keep our eyes on it, let you know what's happening, but let's check back in with our meteorologist, Scott Williams.
And good Tuesday afternoon, everyone. I'm Fox 29 meteorologist Scott Williams. I want to update you on a newly issued tornado warning. This go around, it's for Sussex County in Delaware, and that goes until about, let's see here, 8:30. And we're watching this cell as it continues pushing on off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So some of the locations included in this are near Milton. So once again, Sussex County in southern Delaware. So Anderson's Corner, Angola Beach Mobile Home Park area, Captain's Grant Mobile Home Park, as you move toward Deerwood, also as you get around Cool Spring Manor, Shady Rest Park, so you want to be in your safe zone. This is moving on off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So as we go over to our map source, you can kind of see this moving on off to the east, moving east of Georgetown. So once again, these areas experience some heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and a lot of lightning. Look at the shear. You can see some of the shear moving on to this area. So Angola by the Bay, Long Neck, Dewey Beach, Rehoboth Beach. This is moving your way. So a lot of folks vacation here. Here in Philadelphia, we're looking at some rainfall. Nothing is severe, but in this box, still a lot of lightning and heavy rainfall. We'll send you now back to regularly scheduled program. Join us, though, on Fox Local as we continue with severe weather coverage.
All right, you guys, bringing it on back here on the streaming side of things. Scott is powering down from our broadcast television side. He'll let me know if we have any more to talk about here on the streaming side of things. But as I've been telling you all, weather has for sure been one of our biggest stories of the day, if not the biggest. We've experienced tornado warnings like the one right now issued in Sussex County, New Jersey. That does not expire until 8:30. We've had one before across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, but luckily that was expired a few hours ago. So our meteorologist has been keeping us up to date on everything that's going on, but I've been telling you guys what's going on with the airport as well. So again, out in Philadelphia International Airport, there is currently a ground stop in effect. This is expected to go on until about 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, you know, it's really anybody's game. We'll have to keep our eyes on the situation, whether or not the ground stop is actually lifted or whether it will continue to go on. We've also got that ground delay, and that is expected to go on until about 3 a.m. So we're keeping our eyes there too. It's about 153 minutes average of a delay due to the thunderstorms. Again, our Scott Williams has been keeping us up to date on everything we need to know. Scott, thank you for that breaking on television, bringing it back to the streaming side of things. Is there anything else that we need to know?
Yeah, well, right now we're still watching lots of lightning, heavy rainfall moving through the area from the Lehigh Valley and Poconos even into Sussex County. That's where the worst of it is right now, the southern part of the system. So we still have that tornado warning for Sussex County, and you can see it's moving on off generally to the east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. The cloud tops seem to be not as impressive as earlier, around about 14,000 feet right now. Earlier this evening, we had some thunderstorms that had cloud tops twice that amount. So once again, this is moving on off to the east at about 35 miles per hour, but you can see some of the areas that are potentially in the path of this storm, and that includes Dewey Beach, Rehoboth Beach. A lot of people vacation down in Sussex County, Delaware this time of year. So once again, between you can see Bethany Beach there, as well as Dewey Beach, Angola Landing, Harmon, Bay Colony, Ocean View, looking at the very heavy rainfall and gusty winds that are pushing in that direction. So once again, we're talking about this moving toward Ferry Landing, Bullseye around 8:20, Warwick, Buck Hill Landing, Gull Point, Hillcrest Acres Mobile Home Park, Pine Point Mobile Home Park. You can see some of those areas here that we're watching. Thatcher's Landing, Indiantown Farms, Oak Meadows Mobile Home Park around 8:23. Sandy Landing around 8:24. So once again, you'll want to seek shelter as the storm continues to move on off to the east. So once again, Doppler radar here has indicated these severe thunderstorms capable of producing a tornado, and it's located about 6 miles southeast of Milton or near Millsboro, moving to the east there at about 35 miles per hour. So once again, some of the areas impacted, Henlopen Acres, Long Neck, and Dewey Beach. So the best place to be would be a basement or an interior room, the lowest, away from all windows. If you're outdoors or in a mobile home or in a vehicle, you want to move to the closest substantial shelter that you can find and protect yourself from flying debris that could be possible as this moves on to the east at about 35 miles per hour. Let's switch sources over to our maps and just take a look at all of this lightning and heavy rainfall stretching up and down the East Coast. So you can see within this box, over 1,400 lightning strikes with this. So that is just showing you the energy with this system as it's been pushing on off to the east, as well as the intensity of the system. Now it's weakening a bit over the Philadelphia area. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in a part of the Lehigh Valley and Bucks County. We'll get to that coming up, but you can see this particular area, severe thunderstorm warning until about 8:30. Tornado warning until about 8:45. That's south of Highway 9 there, south of Lewis under the tornado warning, but it does include places like Dewey Beach, Rehoboth Beach, Long Neck there. You can see within that red box, that's what we're tracking in terms of that potential for a tornado here. So there's been some wind shear, there's been some wind energy with that system. In fact, as we take a look at the wind shear analysis, you can see that yellow arrow. That is ultimate Doppler picking up that, yes, there is a little bit of spin, a little rotation with that as it continues pushing on off to the east. So we're seeing that in terms of the wind shear and the analysis from ultimate Doppler that that particular cluster of showers and thunderstorms, it is rotating as it pushes on off to the east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So once again, you can see some of the areas in this tornado warning: Rehoboth Beach, Dewey Beach, Angola by the Bay, Herring Landing. Once again, as we get toward Bottom Hills, Oak Orchard, you're under that tornado warning down to Sussex Shores. So once again, Highway 1 runs along here, and you can see Indian Beach, Dewey Beach, Rehoboth Beach, and then some of the other highways would include Highway 10, 24, Marshtown, as you move toward Angola by the Bay, Highway 24 toward Trinity, looking at some of that potential activity that's been kind of pushing on off to the east. So still watching that little sliver of a box in red. That is where we have the active tornado warning. But as I expand the view here, you can see the other severe thunderstorm warning. That is in portions of Bucks County, also into Montgomery County. So there's been a little bit of shear here as well. That's not prompting a tornado warning, however, but still some strong winds. So the concern for that tornado warning is in Sussex County, Delaware, for the time being. Here's a live look outside of our studios. A raincoat you see an umbrella up. So we are watching for some gusty winds and some heavy rainfall moving through Philadelphia. There's a severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15 for portions of Montgomery County, for Bucks County as well. So we're kind of watching that in upper Bucks County there. Some heavy rainfall that's kind of just been dumping over the northeast extension, places like Percy, Quakertown, Richland, looking at some of that heavy rainfall and some gusty winds in that vicinity. And then as we move into Cumberland County, looking at some heavy rainfall around Millville, Vineland. That's pushing into Cape May County right now with some very heavy rainfall. But then look at all of these storm reports. There was a report of a funnel cloud earlier in Wilmington, also Talbot County in Maryland, some reports of funnel clouds. So this system really has been packing a punch as it's been moving on off to the east throughout the afternoon and evening. Now, the most intense part of this seems to be the northern part in Bucks County, and then the southern part as you get into Sussex County in Delaware. So as we go back to our Barron source, you can see some of those areas that we're watching for potential impacts with this. You can see them plotted there on your television or whatever screen you're watching us on. Buck Hill Landing, Helms Landing, Bullseye, Pine Point, Mobile Home Park, The Landing, Thatcher's Landing, Gull Point, Warwick Park, Dogwood Acres Mobile Home Park, Israel Hall, Sandy Landing, Riverdale, Indian River Acres, West Beach, Captain's Grant Mobile Home Park around 8:30. So very heavy rainfall and gusty winds with this. There's been a lot of wind energy with this as it's been pushing through portions of Sussex County. So once again, seek shelter immediately. Rehoboth Beach, as you move toward Dewey Beach, we're looking at some blinding rainfall here. So this is where those rainfall rates are 2 to 3 inches per hour within this cluster of showers and thunderstorms pushing through Sussex County. So that's kind of what we're watching here. So over the past 15 minutes or so, you can see the progression of this as it's kind of been moving on off to the east. But those heavy downpours moving to the Delaware beaches there. So that's what you have to be mindful of. If you can hear thunder, you can be struck by lightning. So that's what we always say: when thunder roars, head indoors, because that means that you're looking at the potential for lightning to strike nearby if you can hear that thunder. So that's kind of what we're watching with this system as it pushes on off to the east at about 35 miles per hour, once again prompting tornado warning for Sussex County until 8:45. So that's what we're watching here with this system that's been moving along the I-95 corridor most of the evening, stretching from Philadelphia into Delaware, back into Maryland. It's had a history of severe weather. So as we take a look at some of the velocity on this system, looking at the rotation, some of the indications of those winds blowing toward the radar and away from the radar. So a lot of wind energy with this as it continues pushing on off to the east. So as I kind of query this, you can see there has been some strong shear with this particular cell as it's been pushing on off, kind of bowing out. So you can kind of see that wind energy with that shear that's been pushing through. There's been some weak rotation. There's also been some areas of some strong rotation with this as well, as it's kind of been pushing through the area in terms of that shear intensity. So once again, there's been varying degrees of shear with that, but you can see how it's kind of been pushing through, going from strong to weak in that particular cluster of showers and thunderstorms that's been moving through Sussex County. So once again, tornado warning still in effect there until about 8:45. Very heavy rainfall with that. So we'll go back to the radar and you can see all of that heavy rainfall. Rainfall rates anywhere from 2 to 3 inches per hour. So this is the situation here as this cell is pushing on off to the east. Once again, we're looking at that heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning, gusty winds with this, and it's moving through Sussex County, Delaware right now. So Rehoboth Beach, you're looking at the heavy rainfall. So once again, we've been tracking this as it's been kind of pushing through. There have been reports of funnel cloud earlier in the Wilmington area, and you can see that heavy rainfall as it continues pushing on off to the east. So once again, we're just looking at heavy rainfall within this particular area. That's kind of been the calling card of this system throughout the afternoon and into the evening. So lots of storm reports with this system as it's been pushing through the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and also across the Delaware Valley. So on the Barron computer, you can really just see the heavy rainfall with the intensity of this system as it's been pushing on off to the east through Sussex County. So you can see the areas that are in that tornado warning. They do include Rehoboth Beach. Lots of folks have vacation at the Delaware beaches for this time of year. So I'll zoom in a little closer so you can see some of the areas here. So it stretches from really Rehoboth Beach to Dewey Beach, Coastal Highway there. That's Highway 1 through Sussex County, Delaware. And you can see stretching all the way southbound. That's where we're talking about this potential for a tornado warning. So other locations, Bay Colony, Backwater Beach, Calhoun Landing, Piney Point, also Bank Harbor Retreat, Holly Ridge, Bayshore Mobile Home, Bayside Hamlet, Bethany Dunes, Pond Acres. That is where that tornado warning is still in effect for the next 15 minutes or so. So once again, this is the area in Sussex County that we're watching for that potential rotation with a tornado warning. So as we go back to our maps, I want you to look at all of the lightning with this system. So, I mean, a lot of lightning. It's been producing lightning, heavy rain, gusty winds throughout the afternoon and evening. So all of this is courtesy of this area of low pressure that's kind of spinning in upstate New York, and that's kind of allowing for a little more rotation in the atmosphere with this system. So once again, we do have that tornado warning in effect for Sussex County in portions of Delaware. I'm going to zoom in to some of the areas, and you can see Rehoboth Beach, Dewey Beach, Highway 1, Shockley Manor, Bay Vista. You need to be in your safe zone. And then this is around Herring Landing, Bottom Hills, looking at some shear, looking at Doppler radar indicated rotation with this. And then as we get all the way into places like Sussex shores there along the coastal highway, that's where we're finding some heavy rainfall with this as it's pushing on off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So the tail end of this system in Sussex County is kind of the stronger, most intense part of this. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until about 9:15, and that's in portions of Montgomery County, also into Bucks County. So we're watching out for some heavy rainfall, flood concerns here up the northeast extension, Upper Hanover, Richland, Perkasie, Quakertown. That's where we're finding some of the heavy rainfall, Tinicum, Hilltown. So just be mindful of that if you're in sections of Montgomery County as well as Bucks County in terms of the heavy rainfall. And the heaviest of the rain is now pushing through Sussex County with that tornado warning. So that's kind of what we're following here right now, as you can kind of see it pushing on off generally to the east. So once again, there is the potential of a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado over Indian River Bay or about 16 miles to the east of Georgetown, Delaware, and Sussex County, moving to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So that's what we're finding. That's what we're watching here on Fox Local. So as we go back to our Barron computer, looking at that heavy rainfall, rainfall rates 2 to 3 inches per hour with this as it continues pushing on off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So you can see some of the areas, the neighborhoods, the subdivisions impacted by this. Right now, it's around the Denton Woods Mobile Home Park area, Bywood Manor, Collings Creek Estates. Right now, it's around that area, Land of Pleasant Living, around that vicinity as well. And then it continues moving on off. We'll see it impact the Bank Harbor Retreat area around 8:35. Banks Acres around now. You can see this is updating as we speak. So most of these areas is impacting it right now. So you can see how things are changing rapidly. So pretty much all of those areas right now listed on your screen. I'm going to kind of move this over and you can see what we're finding here. So right now, pretty much being impacted by that particular cell. So once again, there's a lot going on here, and you can find your area there impacted by this particular cell that's kind of moving on off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So the good news is they're going to cancel this tornado warning for Sussex County. I'm in the chat with the National Weather Service, so they're going to cancel this tornado warning for Sussex County as it continues pushing on off to the east. But we still have a lot of heavy rainfall. We have the gusty winds that are moving through our area. Just stay with Fox Local. We'll talk much more about what's going to be kind of moving our way once we get rid of some of these storms that are pushing through right now. But the tornado warning has been allowed to expire for Sussex County. Judea, back over to you.
Thank you so much for keeping us up to date on everything that's been going on here. You were with us for such a long period of time, and I appreciate all the information that you were able to give our viewers. We actually had someone, 215 Miss Kia, chime in and said that she loves this. She was referring to your coverage and how in depth you go. So I just wanted to let you know that you do have some fans who are loving the types of things that we're able to give them here on Philadelphia Live, Scott.
Absolutely, just trying to keep everyone safe.
Let me know when or if we need to come back on out to you. Otherwise, we'll keep our audience up to date with some of our biggest news and headlines of the day. You guys, we are going to take a quick step back. When we come back, we'll go national, and then we'll come back to things happening closer here on the grounds. But if you were with me at all yesterday from 12 p.m. to 2, you heard about this Seattle shooting. It was a deadly shooting at a food festival. We'll get into the details of what happened there and what officials are saying is going to happen next when we come back. All right, hey, you guys, welcome back to Philadelphia Live. Big news to tell you about all across the country, as well as some local headlines here as well. First and foremost, let's see if we could just take a live look outside so I can get people up to date on the weather situation, because I'm still seeing some lightning in our area. But as you can see here, rain is coming down heavily. You're seeing some of our major roadways where people are still trying to make their way home. Maybe even from work or trying to get to the next area. But again, you're seeing that strong lightning in the area. So this is a Delaware DOT, Department of Transportation camera that you're taking a live look at, again, as people are just hitting the roads, trying to figure out where they're going to go and trying to get there as safely as possible. Now, I did let you all know about the situation that's been unfolding in Seattle, and don't worry, we will get you guys the latest information about that. But I also want to make sure we're keeping our eyes on some things that are happening locally, and that means we are turning the page to some lighter news, some would say. So I know the Phillies are playing tonight. They're playing the Miami Marlins. It was an interesting beginning to this particular series for them, but we're going to keep our eyes on them tonight, see if the score is any better. I know they'll also be playing them tomorrow, so even if they don't win tonight, they still got one more opportunity. But looking at the score to my left, I'm seeing that the Miami Marlins are up 1 run right now. The Phillies haven't put a run on the board just yet, but you know, it's anybody's game. Hopefully things change. What are we, in the bottom of the 7th? Is this that toxic positivity that some people tell me I have? Maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe it will. I don't know. But let's check in with our sports team. Scott Grayson has been keeping his eyes on everything that's going on with the Phillies, with the Eagles, because that is a whole new chapter that we're turning the page on, right? Can you hear me, Scott?
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah,
Okay.
you were talking about Jalen Carter. Yeah. Boy, the Eagles start tomorrow. It is exciting. We've had so much going on here, from LeBron James to now football season, right? It's right here now, and Jalen Carter getting his contract extension today. He's now the highest paid defensive tackle in NFL history. So the Eagles clearly saying, we want you to build this defense around. And they signed Jordan Davis a few months ago to an extension as well. He's also a defensive tackle. So, yeah, they put a priority on that spot on the field and said, we're going to build from there back. And I think it's a good thing, because it's not something that's going to be a distraction now with the players tomorrow when they start talking. And, you know, perhaps Jalen Carter would have held out for practicing a little bit. Who knows? But we don't have to worry about that, because he is all ready to go. And you'll see the team on the field for the first time tomorrow at 10 a.m.
That's going to be really exciting. Bill Anderson kind of teased it for me, because I've never gotten to see what practice season is like for the Eagles, but he said it is something special for Philadelphia. But I want to get back into Jalen Carter, because we're talking about quite a bit of money that this young man has pulled in. Is that right?
Yeah, 4 years, $152 million contract extension, and $106 million of it is guaranteed. So, he still had another year left on his contract with this, and plus another option. So the Eagles are looking at it as if they gave him a 6-year contract, and when you divide that money up over 6 years, it's a little bit more manageable. But Howie Roseman, the general manager there, obviously does a great job of navigating the salary cap and finding ways, loopholes in certain things. So they've taken care of Jalen Carter. They've taken care of Jordan Davis. On the defensive side of the ball, as you start looking to say next year, you look at guys like Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell as guys who are going to start to be looking at potentially getting their extensions. So, there's a lot to keep an eye on here, and obviously we're looking forward to seeing what this team will be able to do. A lot of changes, especially on offense. No A.J. Brown, new offensive coordinator, and Sean Mannion, new offensive line coach. So there's a lot of things to keep an eye on as we get ready to watch them take the field tomorrow.
Again, I'm really excited to see it, but I'm also really excited for my first couple of Eagles games, whether I'm watching them here at work or hopefully maybe one day I'll get out to see one in person. I asked Bill this. He didn't have too much of an opinion on it. I wonder if you do, Scott. I've got to get merch at some point, right? So
Yeah.
Is it better to get like the dark teal green or the Kelly green?
I'm old-fashioned. I love the Kelly greens. I think they're the ones that they kind of stand out. They look good. I know people like there's also the black version of the jerseys that they have going as well. So the midnight green's good too. You can't go wrong. You wear an Eagles jersey around here, everybody knows you're a friend, Jade.
Okay, that's good to hear. Again, we'll keep our eyes on everything that's going on there. I was talking to the people too about the Phillies Marlins series. I'm hearing maybe yesterday wasn't so hot. Tonight looks like we've only put one, or no, the Marlins have put one on the board so far.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's been a rough go. I mean, the Phillies have hit the ball hard tonight. Unfortunately, they've hit it right at quite a few guys. Bryce Harper had one earlier in the game that kind of looked like it might be able to clear and leave the yard, but was robbed right at the fence. Guy jumped into the wall and caught it. Should have been, potentially could have been an extra base hit. They've hit the ball pretty hard tonight, unfortunately, like I said, right at guys. So they have nothing to show for it. Right now it's 1-0 Marlins, as you see up there. The Phillies with just 4 hits. Aaron Nola pitched well tonight, obviously, as you see, holding the Marlins to just 1 run. But they've got 2 innings left. It's top of the 8th right now. They've got their 2 at-bats left to try to get 1 run on the board and see what could happen. But, right now, this offense, if you take out Sunday's game where they were able to win, this offense has not been able to do anything really lately as far as put runs on the board. And it's being really hard on the pitchers to have to go out there and try to limit these teams to, 1 or no runs. It's been rough going for this offense, and they've got to find a way to get these bats going. Kyle Schwarber not in the lineup tonight. He's got a night off. He wasn't feeling all that great before the game. Bryce Harper not playing first today. He's been the DH. Alec Boehm is at first. Garrett Stubbs catching. JT Realmuto getting a day off. So they've got a lot of guys on the bench right now. They're trying to win and give them a bit of a break after the All-Star break. They've been going hard, but so far losing 1-0.
Okay. Well, actually, that context, makes this a little more palatable, I would say. I think fans may feel the same way, hopefully. But I also want to get into LeBron James talk with you because I don't think that I've gotten to do that just yet.
Sure.
A lot of people are calling him a ring chaser, and they're upset. And I'm a little confused about this because is the point not to win? What?
Well, yeah, I mean, every one of them should be chasing rings. If they're not, then what are they doing other than collecting a paycheck, which I guess if that's your motivation, then go for it. But, yeah, look, I think it's great that he chose to come here. If he is chasing rings, well, then that should make you feel really good as a Sixers fan because this is where he felt his best chance to win a ring is. And so I think that there's a lot of good things to go there. I think a lot of people, including me, Judea, and probably you, they're still processing this whole, and I hate that word because of what the process here, but it's the right word. You're processing the fact that he's coming here and the fact that he is actually going to be wearing a Sixers jersey. We know he's going to wear number 23. The fact that you're going to see your starting 5 out there, Jaylen Brown coming over from the Celtics in a trade. You've got Tyrese Maxey, who just continues to get better. VJ Edgecombe should be better in his second year. Of course, Joel Embiid, healthy in an off season for a change. The key is going to be to keep them all that way. And beyond them, you actually have depth on this roster too. So these are all the reasons why you see why you see LeBron James choosing to come to Philadelphia. This team should really make a deep run, and I think anything less than even getting to the NBA Finals will be considered a disappointment this year.
For sure. I would argue, too, that we've probably already had pretty good leadership, but having somebody like LeBron James on the team just bringing everybody together, I think it's something special. I mean, even the social media posts that I've gotten to see with Tyrese Maxey practicing with LeBron, I don't know that I've ever seen the kid cheese that hard in his life, but it just goes to show how much respect and just likability a person like LeBron has.
Yeah, now Maxey and LeBron, they have the same agency. So I know that there have been times in the past where they have worked out occasionally. I know LeBron does like Maxey a lot, and that also played a role in him coming to Philadelphia, I think, is getting to work more with Maxey. But the fact that they are working together now as teammates is a big deal. And you continue to see them as they progress towards the preseason and then towards the regular season, as they get to know each other better and get to play better, more together. That'll happen with all the guys. It's going to be fun to watch this team. How quickly does it gel? How quickly does it come together? What does Nick Nurse do with this group? How does he manage that? Those are all the things you're going to watch as we get closer to the start of the season.
Yeah, he's got a lot on his hands, but like you, I'm also excited to see how it all pans out. So from the Sixers to the Eagles to the Phillies, keeping us up to date on everything. Thank you so much, Scott Grayson.
You're welcome, Judea. Thank you.
All right. So looking at our live stream chat, we've got Brenda J. Lamore joining us, who's always here with us. We appreciate you being a loyal viewer. Says, yes, I'm eating my words about LeBron coming to Philly. And a lot of people are. We also have a lot of bandwagon fans coming on over to the 76ers. Now, my question for, die-hard Sixers fans is, are you guys letting them come in? Are you excited to see them? Are you going to embrace them being in your arena? Or is this kind of like a you should have been here type of thing? Because keep in mind, technically, I'm a new fan too. I just moved here, and I hope that the fan base welcomes me on in. But I have to say, to that point about people saying LeBron James is just ring chasing, Shaquille O'Neal actually came to his defense. I don't know if he even needed it, but Shaq did say, and I quote, "When this thing is over, it's over. You can't come back. Once you retire, once your body says it can't go no more, it's over." This guy feels he has 2 or 3 years left. Why not try and get another championship? I did it. I did it with Boston. I won 3 in a row and then won 1 in Miami. At the end of my career, let me go play with Paul Pierce and KG, aka Kevin Garnett, and see if I can win 1. So, you know, he's saying, hey, why would you not try? And that's been my question since the beginning. Why are we upset at somebody who wants to win and has come to a team that he thinks can help lead them to victory? Is that not the point? With that being said, you guys, we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'll talk to you about more big news of the day. Don't go anywhere. All right, you guys, keeping you updated on what's going on in Seattle. Again, if you had joined me yesterday, sometime between noon and 2 o'clock, we dove deeper into this story. It's near the Seattle, the Space Needle. If you know, you know. Honestly, if you think of Seattle and you think of like the picture or like the big statue, whatever's in your head is exactly what I'm talking about here. So it was a big food festival that was happening. We're talking about hundreds of people coming on out to it in the evening hours. And keep in mind, this is already a typically busy area. A lot of visitors come on in, tourists, to this particular area just to see what's going on, have some fun with their families. So again, hundreds of people were out for this particular food festival. And they say that 2 young individuals opened fire. They were shooting at each other, and unfortunately, they ended up killing multiple people. We're talking about 3 people dead, 5 people injured, including a toddler as young as 2 years old. So this is the Bite of Seattle Festival. Officials have been giving us updates on everything that's going on out there in terms of the death toll, but how people are taking the news and what they say is going to happen next. Earlier today, there was a press conference. Our sister station, Fox 13 Seattle, actually got on out to it to get you guys the latest so we can all stay up to date on what's happening across the country. I want you guys to take a listen in.
We continue to make sure that injured victims receive the care and the resources they need. Yesterday, the medical examiner reported the identities of the deceased. Ashley Whitehead, 44 years old. Oh, sorry, 56-year-old Ashley Whitehead, 44-year-old Carlos Israel Sanchez Villalba, and 19-year-old Junior C. Nicosena. Except for the 19-year-old, who we believe was involved in the shooting, we understand that all others who have passed or were injured were bystanders. Thank you to those who organized and attended the vigil on the Seattle Center campus last night, honoring and mourning these 3 individuals and all who have tragically lost their lives to gun violence in our city. I appreciated being there, being welcomed in community, including talking with people who knew the victims and connecting with fathers who have lost children to gun violence. I had a chance to talk with vendors, with youth, and others who were at the Bite of Seattle on Saturday, and members of the Seattle Center community about their experiences. I want to go off script for a moment just to share one of the most meaningful moments last night for me. Aaron Murphy Payne, who's the father of Amar Murphy Payne, who was shot and killed outside Garfield High School in 2024, spoke eloquently. And one of the things that he said was that when a tragedy like this happens, often we say, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what it would be like to be there. I can't imagine what it would be like to be a victim or to be a family member of a victim. And he said, we have to start imagining. We have to start imagining. And for me, as the mother of a 2-year-old who spends a lot of time at Seattle Center, and knowing that a 2-year-old was shot, I can imagine. And I think Aaron is right. We have to start imagining, because that lends this work the urgency that it deserves. To continue honoring all of those impacted by this senseless act of violence, the community is invited to gather for a silent vigil at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Come support one another. Bring a flower or a written message to the International Fountain, a space for reflection, compassion, and healing. We're working with our Office of Economic Development and the Seattle Center to reach out to the vendors who were impacted by the shooting and to understand what types of support they might need. And we remain committed to working with impacted neighborhoods across our city, from Rainier Beach to the Chinatown International District and Little Saigon to Capitol Hill and North Aurora, to address both the immediate impacts and the root causes of gun violence. Yesterday we shared that at least 2 people exchanged gunfire outside the Seattle Center Armory. One is in custody, and the second has been identified as the 19-year-old deceased man. Police believe that this was targeted gang-related violence and continue to look for other possible suspects. At the press conference held Monday at noon, I shared a little bit about our approach for dealing with gun violence long-term. We are bringing in an expert in gun violence reduction, including youth violence prevention, who will partner with our city staff and our community-based partners to strengthen our coordination and accountability across our existing bodies of work. We are also in communication with and reaching out to the National Network for Safe Communities, Cure Violence Global, the National Institute for Criminal Justice Reform, and Cities United. These are organizations with demonstrated track records of helping cities to stand up successful gun violence reduction strategies across the country. And we look forward to learning from them about gaps and opportunities to enhance our existing gun violence work. And I want to express thanks to Councilmember Rivera for the Gun Violence Symposium that she recently organized to help to move this conversation forward. We will be undertaking this work in partnership with our City Council, the King County Executive and Council, the Regional Office for Gun Violence Prevention, our elected city and county attorneys, state and federal law enforcement partners, and most importantly, our communities who are disproportionately impacted by the epidemic of gun violence. At the same time as we are advancing these strategies at the local level, we also know that reducing the number of guns on our streets requires state and federal policy changes. We're grateful for the leadership of the governor and state lawmakers who advanced this work in Olympia, and for our United States senators and representatives who tirelessly advocate for common sense reforms in our nation's capital. Let them know that you care too. I want to continue to express gratitude to our police officers who have been working nonstop since this tragedy occurred and are providing regular updates to my office. And thank you to the Victim Advocates team at the Human Services Department and all of our community partners who are focused on violence interruption. And I also want to again recognize and thank the staff at the Seattle Center who've been steadfast in their support and coordination during an incredibly difficult time. And now I'm going to turn things over to Chief Barnes for some updates on the investigation.
Thank you. Good morning. As the city continues to grieve the loss of Ashley, Israel, and Junior, please keep the survivors of violence dear in our hearts We remain focused on getting justice for all people involved in every aspect of this tragedy. That means we have a lot of work to do, and I want to provide you with the most up-to-date information about this active, ongoing, and dynamic investigation. We've been poring over evidence that we have recovered, and we're not slowing down. This includes video, physical evidence, photos, witness and victim statements. We have dozens of pieces of digital evidence to review and are continuing to review that information, as well as searching the area for more. Since Sunday night, we have received more than 80 calls to our SPD tip line, which is absolutely incredible. If you know anything, please call our tip line at 206-233-5000, 206-233-5000. At this point, we have interviewed all survivors and multiple witnesses, and will continue to do so in the upcoming days. Our hearts go out to the survivors, the families of victims, and our community. This is nothing short of tragedy. We've had questions concerning camera footage. We have no real-time crime center cameras in that area, but we are currently reviewing all available camera footage in the entire area. This effort is being led by our homicide detectives, as well as our SPD digital forensics team. We actually have a team of specialized investigators that know how to access, find, and download camera footage. This is not the case for a lot of police departments, so I want to highlight that work. We're still working on identifying other potential witnesses and continue to ask the community for support. Again, if you know something and yet you have not had an opportunity to talk to us, please call that number again, 206-233-5000. You can remain anonymous, but due to the high levels of calls that we have been receiving, if you leave a message, someone will get back to you as soon as possible. I also want to make a plea to an 8th victim, potential victim, that showed up at UW on Sunday. This person checked himself in with a potential gunshot wound. Due to legal barriers, we're unable to acquire the identity of this person. However, if you are that person, please reach out to us. We would like to make sure, number one, that you're okay, and number two, if you would like to speak to an investigator, please reach out to us so we can determine if you may have seen what happened. I want to be clear that we have 2 deceased and 4 identified injured people who are not related to the suspects in any way. They are innocent victims of this senseless act of gun violence. Right now, we're working with witnesses to identify those who may have been involved. While there has been information swirling that we're looking for only one suspect, we're not saying that. It's possible that there could be more, but due to conflicting witness statements, we're trying to determine who was involved. Once we have that information, we will release that and that suspect description or suspect's description to the public. I do not believe that there is an immediate danger to the public because this was a targeted incident. There are families grieving who have lived through a total nightmare. They deserve justice. We want to hold those accountable, and we want to be responsible and responsive to our community. As we discussed yesterday, we believe this is linked to gang violence, and we're working to determine the groups involved and what their relationships may be. Let me add that we're also working with our federal partners, state and local partners, as a part of this investigation. To the investigation. We recovered 14 shell casings from 2 different caliber of weapons during our processing. On the scene that night, we recovered a polymer 80 9mm ghost gun with an extended magazine that had a 33 round capacity. And when it was recovered, there were 19 rounds in the magazine. I'm going to repeat that. On the scene that night, we recovered a polymer 80 9mm ghost gun with an extended magazine that had a 33 round capacity. When we processed that weapon, there were 19 rounds left in that weapon. Those who may be unfamiliar, A ghost gun is an untraceable weapon that lacks a serial number. They are typically homemade and they are illegal. This was the firearm that was recovered from the 15-year-old suspect who was in court yesterday for assault and weapons violations. The second gun we recovered was a Spring Armory model RO compact 9mm with a standard magazine. There were 7 rounds in the magazine, and we do not believe this weapon was used in the incident. A third firearm was recovered by patrol officers yesterday during the food vendor cleanup effort. This was a Glock Model 45 9mm pistol with a fully automatic switch. It had an extended magazine with a 40-round capacity, and 21 rounds were left in the magazine. I'm going to repeat that. The third weapon was recovered by patrol officers during the food vendor cleanup effort at the Seattle Center. This was a Glock Model 45 9mm pistol with a fully automatic switch. It had an extended magazine with a 40-round capacity, and there were 21 rounds left in that weapon. Our detectives believe that the polymer ghost gun and the Glock 45 were used in this act of violence, but we are still waiting on ballistic testing to be completed. We're working with the Washington State Crime Lab to expedite this testing. At this time, we believe that none of the firearms reported were stolen, but we're still working to do what we call a trace on that one weapon. Again, we are relying on help from our state and our local and our federal partners. This is hard work. We continue to investigate. Our investigation is far from over. We know that the summer is not over. We still have outside events. We still have concerts, festivals, and big group gatherings. I want to assure you that we will be upstaffing these events throughout the course of the summer. And for our friends at the Seattle Center and our colleagues, we are here to provide any help or support that you need. And let me finish by saying this. We know that our community is grieving. People have a lot of questions, and we're doing our best to answer those. We know that the families of these victims are grieving. I attended the vigil last night along with the mayor, had an opportunity to see some family members and experience an amazing community-led event. And it was really, for me, it was truly an honor to be there with the family. For our officers and first responders who ran toward gunfire and was able to disarm a 15-year-old with a very dangerous weapon without a use of force should be complimented. And so I want to thank our officers, our first responders, our firefighters, our paramedics who also ran toward danger to render aid to people, which included a 2-year-old that was shot. I want to thank them for their work. We need the community's help in resolving this and making sure that all who were involved in this are held accountable. And we also need your help to make sure that if you know of any existing or ongoing conflicts, that we as adults, that we as community members work hard to resolve those conflicts to ensure that something like this does not happen again. I believe we can do that through the power of community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Barnes. So as you heard,
All right, you guys, we are going to take over from there. They gave you a lot of information of what we know now about this Seattle shooting, in which we know 3 people died, 5 people injured, including a 2-year-old. Originally, they were saying 2 people may have been involved in the shooting itself, as in shooting at one another, one of those people being arrested. But they are now saying 3 people have been charged in this particular case. We'll keep you up to date on everything that we know in just a little while. Now, at the top left hand of your screen, you guys were taking a live look at a police chase out in Los Angeles. Now, the helicopter looks like it's gotten a little confused as to keeping up with the vehicle that was involved, but for quite some time, you and I were watching this live police chase. It's made its way onto the freeway. We're talking about 405 freeway, southbound lanes. If you know LA, you know that this is a mess. It is about 6 o'clock their time, which means it's rush hour. LA always has traffic as is, so to be honest, it was actually very shocking, not only to myself, but to our sister station, Fox 11 Los Angeles, and to the police specialists that they have been interviewing while they've been talking about this particular chase. They were all shocked that this person, the driver, hadn't been in an accident while weaving in and out of traffic to try to get away. Now, what is this person wanted for? It's not quite clear just yet. All we do know is that this person has been blowing stop signs, red lights. They've gotten on the freeway, off of the freeway, trying to evade LAPD. The officials say that they believe this person is armed, that they may be in a stolen vehicle, but from there, we don't have much more information. But again, we have been trying to keep our eyes on the situation. Hopefully, our helicopter can get you guys a better look at what's going on. This person was moving. At points in time, they suggest that they were hitting like 100 miles per hour through residential areas. Now that they're on the freeway, it's not quite clear how long it may take for this particular chase to come to an end. But we'll keep our eyes on that situation as well. This is developing live as we speak. We're going to take a quick commercial break, regroup on some of the biggest news of the day, and then I'll be back with some of your headlines. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back into Philadelphia Live, getting you caught up on big news happening all across our country. And we also, of course, keep our eyes on what's happening right here in the Philadelphia area, Delaware, and New Jersey. Now, here's a really big story that's happening down south, and I think you all may understand why it affects us here too. We're hearing that a high school shooter out in Georgia has officially learned his fate. We're talking about Appalachian High School. If you guys remember any of the headlines, 2 years ago, they say then 14-year-old Colt Gray entered the high school that he was going to school for just a short period of time. They say he opened fire, killing 2 fellow students. We're talking about young people around his age, and 2 teachers. This is a very big deal happening out in Georgia. And again, it has some implications for the rest of the country, because this is only, I believe, the second time that a parent has been charged as well in what their child has been accused of doing. So Colt Gray's father, Colin Gray, is also facing a judge. He's expected to be sentenced on Thursday for his what they're saying, how he played a role in this particular shooting. They're saying that he didn't pay enough attention to his son's needs, he didn't report them in time, and that he really could have helped keep this situation from happening. So again, if you guys are unfamiliar, they're saying that 16-year-old Colt Gray entered that school, opened fire, killing 2 students, killing 2 teachers. He pleaded guilty to 55 counts, but today he was sentenced, and we were in that courtroom. Take a listen.
All right, we are all present. You know, never before have I had to sentence a 16-year-old. Certainly for something someone did when they were 14 years of age. Those who appear regularly in front of me have often heard me lament about the difficulty in sending a young person to prison. And here, as everyone understands, the minimum sentence is life with parole. Now, the appellate courts have said that children are constitutionally different from adults for purposes of sentencing. That stems from an understanding that juveniles aren't fully formed cognitively. Hallmark features of a juvenile include immaturity, impulsivity, recklessness, and a failure to appreciate risk and consequences. And because of these factors, the Supreme Court says that the 8th Amendment prohibits the death penalty for juveniles. The Supreme Court also disfavors life without parole for juveniles, declaring it to be a constitutionally forbidden, disproportionate sentence in all but the rarest of cases. Life without parole is thus authorized only for youthful crimes reflecting permanent incorrigibility. Life without parole is barred for crimes that are born out of a transient immaturity of youth. Now, I recognize that with your guilty plea, you've assumed responsibility for your crimes. You have made a lengthy and public trial unnecessary. I also recognize that you were failed by each of your parents. You were failed by your extended family. To a certain extent, you've been failed by a society that can't stop propagating this misguided value in online cultures and social media, rather than making genuine interpersonal connections and relationships. But that failure does not absolve you from who you chose to idolize, worship, and become. 4 lives were stolen, 2 of them really just beginning, and it wasn't done out of fear or anger. You weren't being bullied at Appalachia. It wasn't done out of hatred. You didn't even know anyone at that school. It was done for the infamy of it. Now, your childhood instability and neglect would explain or mitigate finding yourself in one of those problematic places that Dr. Richards testified about. But planning, fantasizing about, visualizing, and executing a school shooting don't put you in a problematic place. It puts you in an unredeemable moral wasteland. Your crimes do reflect permanent incorrigibility, and I will sentence you to life without parole for each of the malice murders that you committed. You understood the horror of what you were going to do. You studied the trials of those other shooters. You even critiqued the victim statements given in those cases, and yet you did this anyway. You wrote, "I want to make history. I want people to remember the pain." There you succeeded. The pain that you visited upon this community is unlikely to disappear in my lifetime. You do not seem to be tormented by what you did. You seem to relish following in the footsteps of the murderers you idolize. You aren't racked with guilt. You're proud of yourself. Less than a month after the tragedy, you weren't concerned with the horror you wrought, but rather with finding out which mass murderers they were comparing you to. A youth may fail to consider the harm his rash actions inflict before acting. but you did consider it. You studied that pain when you researched the trials of your profane idols. You contemplated that pain over and over. This wasn't transient immaturity, it was deliberate, contemplated evil. You were all too aware of the court outcome of those mass shootings because you studied and obsessed over them. You know that the Aurora Theater shooter received life without parole. Nicholas Cruz received life without parole. Ethan Crumley, a juvenile, received life without parole. Yet you were not dissuaded. Your plan was not hastily hatched. It was a slow boil simmering more than a year's time. You savored the thought of it, you visualized it, and you fantasized about it. You broke it down step by step in visualizing what you were going to do. The thought of mimicking these other mass murders is what brought you joy. Now, for the rest of us, there is no joy here today. There's only a measure of closure. The slain will not return to life, the injured will not forget their wounds, and a 16-year-old boy will live and die in prison. You have certain post-plea appellate rights I need to inform you of. You have a right to file a notice for a discretionary appeal within 30 days of today's date. You can have a lawyer represent you for that, but you are not entitled to court-appointed counsel. You have a right to file a motion to withdraw this guilty plea because it's less than 30 days before the term of court ends. You have to file that within 30 days of today's date. That would be to correct a manifest injustice. You do have a right to a court-appointed attorney for that post-plea appellate right. If you need a court-appointed attorney, you need to promptly apply for one so that one can be appointed to meet that 30-day deadline. You also have a right to file a petition for habeas corpus to challenge any legal errors in the proceeding, any violations of your constitutional rights. That is a civil proceeding for which you do not have the right to court-appointed counsel. Each of the malice murders will be life without parole, concurrent to one another. The felony murders and the related aggravated assaults for those all merge as a matter of law. Each of the aggravated batteries will be 20 years to be served in confinement consecutive to the life without parole. The aggravated assaults and the cruelty to children that do not otherwise legally merge will be 20 years concurrent to the life without parole. Is there anything else I need to address?
Remember the 20 years on the aggravated battery consecutively and concurrent with each other?
Yes. All right. We're adjourned.
With him off the bench, that camera needs to be off.
So there you have it. 16-year-old Colt Gray is now facing a life sentence without the possibility of parole. You heard the judge, who I would say was a mix of just disappointed, disgusted, and just all around dejected as he read the sentencing to Colt, to everyone who was in the courtroom. Now, this is one of those stories, one of those headlines that I kept up with when I still worked in Atlanta. And I will tell you that throughout the entirety of the court experience, we had heard from a number of different witnesses. We're talking about survivors. We're talking about kids who 2 years later had to relive the same trauma from the day that they underwent this school shooting. And one thing that kept coming up was people couldn't figure out why Colt did this. He did plead guilty to it before learning his sentence, but it just wasn't clear. There were signs of maybe mental health issues, but there wasn't any sort of anger or bullying that was happening at the school, according to the officials that came up and testified, even according to his family. And so I mentioned before that this is one of very few cases, I think this is only the second in U.S. history, where we're also going to see a parent facing punishment for their child's actions as it pertains to a school shooting. The first time around, I believe it was the Michigan school shooting. Crumbley's parents both faced some penalties for what they had done. And now in this particular case, Colt Gray's father, Colin Gray, is expected to be sentenced on Thursday, happening this week as well. So we'll keep our eyes on what's happening out in Georgia, but I wanted to keep you up to date on biggest news happening across the country. And speaking of news happening across the country, we've all been keeping our eyes on this situation of a police chase happening in Los Angeles right now as we speak. Our sister station is able to provide this live streaming video to us. This is Fox 11 Los Angeles trying to keep up with this white vehicle that's been leading police on an elusive chase for quite some time now. They've been weaving in and out of traffic. At points in time, even we here in the newsroom were holding our breaths just because we weren't sure if they were going to be able to squeeze through all the cars. So keep in mind that this is around 6:25 p.m. down in California. So this is right in the middle of all of their traffic. It's rush hour. As you can see, the police are hot on this guy's tail. They're not quite sure why or what this person did. However, there are claims that this is a stolen vehicle that we're looking at here. They're also suggesting that the driver may be armed. So as you can see, just flying through intersections, having no regard for anyone else's safety. This is the situation that is unfolding before us. We're keeping an eye on it. And I will say it has been interesting as well, just to see, you know, how the police are trying to navigate this, because at some times the helicopter has lost visuals on this vehicle. It's not just been driving in straight lines. They actually say it's been kind of making circles. At points in time, it's entered the freeway. We're talking about Freeway 405. If you guys are familiar with Los Angeles, that is not the best place that you want a situation like this taking unfolding in. But again, this is what we're looking at. How many police cars are we seeing? 1, 2, 3, at least 4. I think I counted 5 trailing behind this vehicle. And again, our sister station is providing the live helicopter footage that you guys are taking a look at. And once again, if you are just now joining us, we're not quite sure what the person in this vehicle has done. However, police do say that this may be a stolen vehicle that we're looking at. We also may be looking at a driver who may be armed. So again, that is the latest. Also not clear how much gas this person has in the car. How much longer can they lead this kind of chase? I'm trying to look now. Okay, we see more police cars coming on up. 1, 2, 3, 4. I do see that 5th one trailing in the back. 5 police cars chasing this single white vehicle. We'll see what happens with this situation. As you see, they're weaving in and out of some larger buildings as well. It's kind of hard to keep our visual on it. So we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll bring you right back out to this and also get you caught up on some other news of the day. Welcome back to Philadelphia Live. I told you we would try to keep up with this big police chase happening out in LA. However, it looks like we've lost the suspect at this point in time. Police are still hot on the pursuit. We're hearing that this person may have stolen the vehicle that they're driving in and also might be armed. Not quite clear why else they may be running away from the police, but this is a car chase that's been going on in LA for quite some time now, right in smack dab in the middle of rush hour. So it's not clear how much longer it could last, but we'll keep our eyes on that situation. In the meantime, you all probably know South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham lost his life. He was 71 years old and he passed away recently. Now, they held a ceremony for him at the Rotunda in the Capitol Hill. They also held a funeral for him out in DC, and there were so many people in attendance. We're talking all the senators who wanted to pay their respects. We're also talking about world leaders. We saw Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. We also saw Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the audience. And of course, a good friend to Senator Graham, we saw President Donald Trump, and he actually delivered the eulogy. I want to let you listen on how that went.
Thank you very much. Vice President Vance, members of the Cabinet, members of the House and Senate, distinguished guests, Darlene, and the entire Graham family. We love you all. Today we gather in the deepest gratitude and profoundest sorrow to honor a beloved friend, a devoted brother, a respected statesman, a giant of the United States Senate, and a true American original who left us much too soon. And that can only be the one and only Lindsey Graham. By the strength of his steadfast convictions, the force of his magnetic personality, and the goodness of his noble soul, Lindsey rose from a small town in rural South Carolina, a place he loved so much, to become a constant fixture of American politics at the highest level, and a force to be reckoned with all over the world. For more than 30 years, nothing of consequence happened in this capital without Lindsey Graham knowing about it. Nothing of significance happened anywhere in the world without Lindsey Graham having a view on it. And no bill became law in the most exceptional republic in human history without Lindsey Graham having a say in it. He was a man who gave America the full measure of his good and mighty heart until that heart itself just gave out. But even though Lindsey's life was cut short while he was still so full of vim and vigor, there can be no doubt that he lived absolutely to the fullest. He died doing the work he was born to do. He was truly a great politician, serving the country he loved to serve so deeply. He went out at the peak of his career, at the top of his game, as a legend that every one of us, many of us here today, are blessed to know him, and a friend that none of us will ever forget. There was truly nobody like Lindsey Graham. It was his hometown of central South Carolina that Lindsey first learned the art of politics. His parents ran a bar and pool hall on Main Street with a room in the back where the family spent and slept and did everything that you had to do. As Lindsey said, his father taught him the key to being a successful bar owner is that you have to be funny enough that people will keep coming back, and that you have to be tough enough that you can stay in business and thrive. A very difficult combination. For his entire storied career, that's exactly who Lindsey Graham was. He was the first person to make you laugh, and one of the last people that you've really ever wanted to fight. These were the traits that made him into one of the great figures in Senate history. Few like him. As a boy, Lindsey also learned his first lessons in diplomacy when the wife of one regular patron, called the bar asking for her husband. She demanded to know, where is he? The man instructed Lindsay, tell her I'm not here. And young Lindsay nodded and said into the phone to the wife, he said to tell you that he's not here. That was Lindsay. When Lindsay was just 20 years old, he lost his mom to cancer. 15 months later, he lost his dad. Their deaths left his 13-year-old sister, Darlene, an orphan. But in God's mercy, she had her wonderful brother to take care of her. On top of it all, Lindsay became her guardian while still in college and helped raise her. He later said that for all his achievements, and he had many, his single proudest accomplishment in life was how well Darlene turned out. He had total respect and love for Darlene. Nothing could be more fitting than that woman who was Lindsay's proudest legacy now continues his legacy of service in the U.S. Senate, a place that he cherished. And I have no doubt that he's looking down today, beaming with pride at his sister, Senator Darlene Graham. Thank you, Senator. Lindsay first stormed into Washington with the Republican Revolution of 1994, becoming the first Republican to win his House district in 120 years. That was Lindsay. In 2002, he ran for the Senate in what should have been a loss, and he swept to an easy victory. Lindsay quickly became a master at maneuvering in one of the world's great legislative bodies. He secured record funding for our military as a budget committee chairman. He delivered the largest investment in border security in history, and last year he shepherded the passage of the largest tax cuts in American history, the Great Big Beautiful Bill. Had a lot of Lindsay goodies in there too, I can tell you. And of course, he was also a great champion of the United States Supreme Court. His impassioned defense of a wonderful person, a great gentleman, Justice Kavanaugh, ended a disgraceful attack on this very good man and gave us one of the greatest moments the Senate has ever seen. It was a truly monumental moment in Senate history. I believe it was Lindsay's perhaps finest hour. But no matter how heated things got in Washington, virtually everyone, Republican or Democrat, liked Lindsay. Well, not everybody, but it sounds good. Not everybody. He was a tough cookie, okay? I have to veer from this for a second. He was a tough cookie, Darlene, but he was beautiful. But he was also ready with a joke and a gleam in his eye. After being lectured on the excruciating details of patent law by a fellow senator during a flight, Lindsay declared that he had discovered a new form of enhanced interrogation and torture for the Guantanamo Bay area. He said, this is really bad stuff and boring. And while he was an incredibly hard worker, he was not exactly an early riser, as many of you know. When Senator Tim Scott, a great gentleman in his own right, I can tell you, invited him to prayer breakfast at 8:30 a.m., Lindsay told him, Tim, if Jesus himself comes back before 10 a.m., I ain't going. Yet, while he was always quick to laugh, and no one ever doubted the gravity of his mission, above all, Lindsey Graham believed in a strong America. He wanted a strong America. He had unwavering faith in the righteousness of American power and prayer. And he was extremely hawkish. I will tell you, he never saw a war that he didn't like. Only his true friends would understand that, but he wanted it for the good of our country. He felt in his bones that our destiny is to win, and that his job was to do everything he could to ensure our enemies would lose. It was this conviction that led him to serve 33 years in uniform in the Air Force and Air Force Reserves and Air National Guard, even while he was in office. And it was this conviction that took him as a senator to almost every country on earth, confronting America's adversaries and standing up for America's friends. He had tremendous friendships all over the world. It's a testament to his towering impact that among those mourning him here today are leaders, presidents, prime ministers from all over the globe. They're sitting right here before you. Lindsey met countless world leaders, yet wherever he went, he was always the same Lindsey Graham. When he met Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi in a tent in the desert, he told him, "I expected something out of the Arabian Nights. This looks more like a Winnebago." That was not a good statement to make at the time. And when he met the Dalai Lama, Lindsey looked him straight in the eyes and said, "So, can you really levitate?" The Dalai Lama was not happy with that. But no matter how high he rose, he never forgot where he came from. There's probably not a single town in South Carolina where Lindsey did not help repair a bridge, expand a school, improve a hospital, or recover from a disaster. He was a force of nature, and I will miss him greatly. As you remember, Lindsey and I did not exactly get off to the best of starts, running against each other. Back in 2016, Lindsey said something rather nasty on his flight to becoming the next president of the United States. So naturally, I did something that I shouldn't have done. I shared his personal cell phone number with the millions of people that happened to be watching that particular day as I made a speech, a very important speech. And I remember the number 202-228-0292 if anybody wants to give it a shot. His phone exploded. He said, "I had that number for 20 years. His phone totally, I don't know what he did with it, but it exploded. That was the beginning of a friendship in a way. But it was Lindsey who had the last laugh, because while I blew up his phone all for one day, we became great friends, and Lindsey did not stop calling me for the next 10 years. It was not easy. I always cherish the memories of our golf games, and only because of his really, and I will say this memorial service, it's so hard to say, a memorial service for Lindsey, it's hard to say. But I'll admit that one time Lindsey Graham and Annika Sorensen actually beat me and Gary Player together. Can you believe that? Annika played very well that day, actually. But right to the end, Lindsey carried in his golf bag the putter that once belonged to his dad, and he carried it with him with class and with a ring that was so beautiful of his mother. And they were laying right at his bedside. The night he died, they were there. He had him with him at all times. From that pool hall where his parents raised him to the halls of the United States Senate, where he was respected and loved, the son of South Carolina became one of the most important men in the most important country on earth. In a city where politicians often become jaded and cynical, Lindsey Graham never lost the old-fashioned American idealism that brought him to the highest levels of government and life. He took his duty seriously without taking himself too seriously. He was unwavering in his principles, but always willing to listen. He always wanted to listen. And one thing about Lindsey that we all know, he never quit. You wanted him to quit, you waited for him to quit, but he would never quit. Above all, Lindsey Graham loved America, and he believed in the American people. If you shared that view, you had a friend in Lindsey. If you didn't share it, there was no fiercer or more constant opponent. Our nation needs more men and women like that great person sitting, laying, wherever he may be. I think I know where he is, and I think he's up there. I think he's watching us. I'm pretty sure of it. Scripture tells us that blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life. For 71 years, Lindsey Graham was strong and steadfast as a brother, a senator, a warrior, and a patriot. He withstood every last test, every single test that you can go through and every trial. And now he wears the crown of life in heaven, reunited with his parents and reunited with his Lord. I end by saying something very, very special. Lindsay, we love you. God bless you. We will always be with you, and you were very, very special. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so those were President Donald Trump's remarks. We also got to hear from some of the other people that came out to pay their respects, one of which happens to be a senator from our area, Senator John Fetterman. He was met outside by the media, and he talked a little bit more about attending this particular funeral. He also talked about some other big headlines, like some of the major leaders who came in, how he feels about Benjamin Netanyahu. I want to let you listen in to what he had to say about those particular subjects.
How was it? How was the funeral? I mean, it was beautiful and fitting for the kind of a legend that Senator Graham was. I mean, you had world leaders. You had, I mean, literally across the globe. And, oh my God, how many former senators? They've traveled all across the country to be here today. So it was a beautiful, well, of course, in the beautiful National Cathedral. So, I mean, I've done the full Graham. We had a great, Friends dinner last night, and then, of course, the Capitol one. And then the capstone was the funeral. So it was just very fitting for the kind of legend he was.
Senator, how was your dinner last night with Prime Minister Netanyahu? What did you talk about?
Yeah, we just caught up briefly, and I expect to meet with him tomorrow. But overall, it's a real testament that, you had Zelensky and you had Netanyahu and other folks there from Saudi Arabia, they're there just for the funeral today. So, like I said, I mean, it's remarkable. People flew across the globe to pay their respects.
And quickly, tomorrow on the Homeland Security Committee, there's going to be this hearing with Dr. Fauci. Are you planning to attend that hearing?
Yeah, I know. That's our friend from Kentucky's show. I don't think, definitely it'll be interesting to see what he comes out and says those things. Now, as Lieutenant Governor at that time, being in the middle of that, there was always a push and a pull, like business or lives, and a lot of trying to the sweet spot. But overall, I do look forward to hearing for what he has to think.
Does anything that you saw in those diary excerpts that were released raise a red flag to you?
I mean, I don't track or keep a diary of media on me or whatever, but whatever. I mean, to each their own. And I really haven't read it. I wouldn't write one, so I'm not going to really read his in depth.
And Senator, are you meeting with President Zelensky tonight?
What's that?
Are you meeting with President Zelensky?
Yeah,
tonight?
well, I mean, it's like, well, what a hero he is. He's been able to hold the Russians at hope for four and a half years now. It's really remarkable, and how he has helped redefine modern warfare and the drone. So.
And what's it going to take? What's it going to take to get that extended sanctions bill across the finish line?
I mean, I think it's such a fitting for Senator Graham's legacy for the sanctions bill. He was doing important stuff like this that can really change the world. And I really fundamentally believe he just worked himself to death. I mean, every time I talk to him, he's been off to 3 different countries. And I don't know if he ever took the time to rest. So it's just a loss. We certainly can't fill those shoes.
So people on both sides of the aisle, whether you were a Democrat or a Republican, obviously coming out to mourn the loss of Senator Lindsey Graham. And the last person you heard speaking there was Senator John Fetterman. Now, I was keeping up with you guys in our live stream chat while he was talking, and someone was kind of confused. They were like, isn't that the guy who always wore hoodies? And yes, actually, TMZ put out an article. Fetterman is known for his hoodies, his shorts. He's not going to change for anybody. However, clearly, he did put on a nice suit today for the funeral. He wanted to pay his respects just like everybody else. But again, TMZ did put out an article, so I thought it was interesting that you happened to bring it up too. It's hard to recognize him, wasn't it, guys? You guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, a quick step back. When we come back, more news of the day, and we may look at some trending stories. What are you guys watching, scrolling on, reading? We'll get into it when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back to Philadelphia Live. I'm Judea Murray. Had to bring up Jake Leonard. Hey. Okay, so we always talk together about trending stories. What's Philly talking about? And I think right now, training camp.
Yes.
For the Eagles.
Yes.
Officially underway.
Yes.
Okay, and everybody keeps on like making this a huge deal. They're like, oh, it's your first one. Are you excited? What am I missing? Like, what happens?
Well, for me, the reason why I'm so excited about it for you is I feel like it's just, like signifying the beginning of Eagles season, and I'm so excited for you to just experience watching the birds and like the city. Really, you're going to be amazed at like, it's like everyone is like, go birds, go birds, go birds. I actually have a sign up in my apartment that it's like, go birds, and then the definition, it means hi, hello. It's a typical greeting, and it's true. Like once the Eagles are playing, like it's like the whole city's unified. So I'm just excited for you to experience all that, and like training camp, like that's the beginning.
Okay, this is when I officially turn into a Philly John.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Yes.
Now, in terms of football news, there are some big things happening across the aisle.
Yes, there is huge news. Okay, so we love on this show. We love talking about all of these power couples, and there's a new engagement today.
Oh.
Madison Beer and Justin Herbert. So if you don't know them, here's their engagement post right here, posted on Instagram from both of them. They did a collab. The caption is just, meet my fiance. So basically Justin Herbert, the Los Angeles Chargers quarterback, and Madison Beer is kind of like, she's a pop star, but she kind of has like a little bit of like an R&B like influence. Like people always kind of say she looks like Megan Fox. So that's kind of like her thing. Like she had a video where it was kind of like Jennifer's Body inspired. Like for a while people were saying she was like kind of like Ariana Grande. So she's someone who's like, this is going to sound mean, she's never quite had her big break. Like she's someone that like a lot of people know and they're like, oh, I love Madison Beer, but she's never had like that one big single that's like gone like platinum. But I do have to note, Madison Beer was #1 trending today on Google, so people obviously care about her and care about this. So
if I'm not mistaken, Didn't she go on a red carpet not too long ago? She was a correspondent.
Yes.
Okay. I thought I wasn't tripping. I can't remember exactly which one it was. That's when I got turned on to her.
Yes.
But of course, the whole world was like,
Yes.
"Oh my God, he's over here!" Yeah.
I find this interesting because, well, it continues like kind of the new, I don't want to say like trend, but it almost seems like a trend of like all these pop girls getting in relationships with these huge like sports
It's the
players.
Taylor
like,
Swift
yeah,
effect.
Taylor and Travis.
Taylor Kelsey.
Yeah, Taylor Kelsey, Tate McRae, Jack Hughes. Now these two, but I do think it's interesting that they were first spotted together August 2025. So like less than a year ago. He was like on the set of one of her music videos, and then they went like official. They were like sitting courtside at some like game at like SoFi Stadium in October. So obviously this could have been going a lot longer and just kind of kept hush hush. But it is like really interesting. So I'm really happy for her. I mean, they like look really cute together in their pictures. She just looks so happy. Yeah. So another big Hollywood relationship. It's crazy. I feel like all of a sudden all these people are getting engaged and they're getting booed up, and I don't know. I guess.
Yeah. Wait. This is not cuffing season. You're supposed to wait till it's cold outside.
I know.
What happened?
I feel like we're always like, oh, there's a new relationship with this person. So I don't know. It's always interesting to see who winds up together, and especially like this is kind of a relationship that's been a little bit under the radar a little bit. So they seem like they are private, so that's pretty cool.
A year public is wild. You know that song that's like, "Where's my husband?"
Yes.
When you told me that, that's just what was playing in my head. I can't help it.
Shout out Ray.
I see that there are arrows. That means they posted more pictures?
Yes.
Okay, just show me a couple more. Wow. Oh my gosh, wait, that's so cute.
Right? She's like
That is
glowing.
rock,
Yeah,
too.
there we go.
Oh, beautiful. Congratulations. NFL says congratulations too. Well, that's about it for you guys. This has been Judea Murray, Jake Leonard, right here on Philadelphia Live, getting you up to date on everything you need to know in terms of weather, sports, and your biggest headlines of the day. But the news continues. Don't go anywhere. You're going to hear more from our reporters, our meteorologists, and our anchors. We'll be right back.